What's up, folks? Welcome back to the stream. Inky would like to say hello to the chat, apparently. What's up, baby girl? You want to talk to everybody in YouTube chat land? We are live on Wednesday. The Warhamster has come and delivered us some sauce, some sweet, delicious spice that we can use to flavor these final months of 10th edition Warhammer 40k with a massive update. Look at all of these new updates, chat, including new data sheets, new detachments for a variety of different factions, a bunch of cool stuff, points for the new Defiler data sheets. I hope you are all ready for Crabos to run over all your little soy soldiers. Did I have a good time at Adepticon? I did, actually. Thank you so much for asking. Inky got a fuzz on my shoulder, and I don't know how to get it off. I'm just now noticing. That's cool. Yeah, Adepticon was super cool. Super cool. I had an absolutely sick time. Thanks to everybody who came up and said hi. I appreciate all you. That was really cool to meet everybody out there. I played a bunch of games. Speaking of Crabos, I played a bunch of games with Crabos. I played the championship with 3 soul grinders, which was sick. Big shout out to Nurgle Matt from the community. Obviously, we all know Nurgle Matt. He rules. And also, I'm going to grab... I'll do a video about my games, obviously, at some point in the future. It'll come out after the Harry Dan game. Jason, Jesse also were crucial in sourcing the many soul grinders that I used. But big shout out to those two for letting me play with their soul grinders. They're not very good, but oh boy, was it fun. And we're going to be talking about a lot of big Crabos today. As a little bit of an aside as well, I've been a little incommunicado for the last week or so. We're doing a bunch of updates to my game. I will do one quick shout out to it, and then we can go to the main body of the episode. We are doing a huge set of updates to Breachstorm. If you saw me at Adepticon, this is what I was probably doing. So I was demoing and playing cooperative games of this game. And we're basically revamping all of our tabletop simulator mods, as well as adding a bunch of new mechanics to this game and a ton of rules and balance updates. So that's coming out in the next week or so. If you are looking for something to tide you over between now and 10th edition Warhammer 40, or 11th edition, excuse me, Warhammer 40k, I will be running events in my Discord server shortly for that, but also the game has its own community Discord server. If you check it out at breachstorm.com, ! Breachstorm in the chat. My cat just moved my camera. How did that happen? That was weird. Anyway, let's talk about some updates, chat. I think what we're going to do is go through the faction packs individually, and then, as is necessary, we will talk about that faction in the Munitorum Field Manual. So we'll go through the entirety of their entry into the MFM, and then also their new data sheets and stuff. And obviously, the big punchy release is Chaos Space Marines. That's not Chaos Space Marines. This is Chaos Space Marines. They have 2 new detachments as well as 3 new data sheets. The data sheets we've already covered. However, what we don't have right now are points for them. So what we're going to do is take a look at the points. I think they be good, chance. I don't know about Kravik Morn. So Mutilators come in a little pricey, 185 for 3, so they're about 60 points a model. That's a bit of a steep cost for a large-based melee unit. Where did the where's the updated ones? That is what I assume the updated thing is. Oh, but they might be cheaper actually. That was they're 200 points. They're more expensive. Just kidding. They're 70 points a model. Hot damn. All right, that's a lot. They only have 2 attacks if they're swinging their anti-tank profile, so that feels like maybe a miss. I don't know. I'm not a Chaos Space Marine player, so maybe I'm not to maybe I'm not as keyed into the Chaos Space Marine metagame as some other people, but 3 Mutilators for 200 feels like a lot, just because there's also going to be some kind of hoops you got to jump through to actually deliver them to the fight. I don't know about that one. This number, however, oh boy, hot diggity damn. The new Defiler data sheet comes in at 250 points. That is a steal for that data sheet. I was sort of expecting this to push 300, largely because when it matters, it is full wound rerolls. So when you're comparing it to any other like big weapon platform, it is faster, it is more maneuverable, it has better melee output, and it rerolls all its wounds. On top of the fact that it has a minimum of 16 ranged attacks, unless you're taking the melee profile. But like honestly, you're shitting 16 times with very relevant guns. I don't know, chat. The Defiler seems incredible. In my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a silly tortoise, but holy shit. 250 for 12 2-damage gunshots plus 4 las cannons at a minimum, unless you specialize the build a little bit more than that. Feels incredibly strong. Kravik more, let's find that guy. I think comes in at 120, which does feel it feels like a lot, but I think that feels like the correct number for him for balance, but it does feel like a lot in comparison to a lot of other data sheets in the faction. Because when we're comparing this dude to a lot of stuff like Huron Blackheart, right? He has better output than Huron does. Huron has a 3-damage weapon, but he has less attacks. He doesn't get the reroll thing. But Huron gives you the OC bonus. He gives you a lot of other situational bonuses if you're playing Huron's Marauders, for example. Or where's that guy? Huron. Where you at? So he's directly comparable to Huron, right? He's exactly the same. The problem is that like that means he's also directly competitive with these other characters who are having a much greater army composition impact. So I think Kravik as a beatstick is fucking awesome. The problem is fitting him into a Chaos Space Marine army where you have beatsticks abound, and also he's competing with your really transformative like army support characters. So I don't know how often this guy's going to be seen, despite the fact that his datasheet rules. But just like because of how Chaos Space Marines get constructed sometimes, it feels like he may be in a tough situation. Which I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Still can't walk past a standard GW ruin. A 6-inch GW ruin? With a 12-inch move? I guess that's true. But wait, it doesn't matter if you you don't need to go all the way through the ruin. All you have to do is get it so that the lip of your base passes the wall, right? I don't think it necessarily needs to the Defiler, talking about the Defiler specifically, necessarily needs to entirely cross the entirety of the run. But that is a good point. That if it's behind the 6-inch one, it shouldn't be able to go entirely from the back of one edge to the other side. But what it can do is cut the wall in order to get around, which is what a lot of the other big units like that cannot do. It can also move through friendly things, which I think is really important too, to keep in mind. 12-inch movement, being able to move over friendly vehicles so that you can cut corners without having to go around them is actually very important. For smaller movements, that's significantly less impactful. But for a 12-inch movement, I do think that is very relevant. Let's 2 Rogaldorns versus 2 Defilers, never getting past turn 3 because of shooting. The 2 fighting each other. I do think the Defiler, does the Defiler just mop up with that? Because the Rogaldorn's all strength 9, and I guess it has got the one Demolisher cannon, right? But otherwise, a lot of the Rogaldorn guns are just medium strength, and the Defiler's winning on 3 rerolling 1s naturally. In addition to the full reroll turn that it has, I don't know. That feels very good. I don't know, chat. It's also not uncomparable to a Land Raider defensive profile. Defensively, it's not even that far away from a Rogaldorn. A Rogaldorn, the 2+ save is still incredibly strong. Don't get me wrong. I guess while we're talking about the issue, we can take a peek at it. The Rogaldorn is still incredible. Or 2+ armor save in cover is still incredibly difficult to kill. I like that I didn't put the picture on. What the heck? However, I will mention that I think a 18 wounds is still a relevant profile. And a 5+ invulnerable save, in some rare cases when you're fighting multi-guns and stuff, is superior to a 2+ save. It is very marginally less effective, but it does have more wounds than a Land Raider, so that's something. It's definitely a little easier to kill than some of those big sort of heavy tanks, but I don't think it's not comparable. Yeah, I don't know. I think this datasheet rules. I think this datasheet rules and is very good. Pew, 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 pew. The Soulforged one does a fully buffed Vash Filer. I don't know if I like the Vash prefix on stuff. Yeah, the Soulforged Warpack Defiler looks incredible because a lot of times it's las cannons. If it's running quad las cannon, its las cannons are wounding on 2s rerolling 1s. against any T11 or worse vehicle. It's fucking like the consistency is insane. When you shoot, you'll have like sustained hits, warp smith bonus or whatever, hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. So you're just like, you should basically just full convert 100% of your hits. Wild. Very, very consistent last cannon shooting. I don't know. It seems very, very good to me. Let's talk about some new detachments. I guess for those who have not caught the earlier, just in case somebody is watching but hasn't caught any of the earlier shows where we talked about the other new data sheets, let's talk about Kravik Morn and the Mutilators just momentarily and discuss why I feel the way I do about Kravik Morn. This guy just has a boatload of attacks. He has 10 2-damage melee attacks, and he chooses a prey target at the start of the battle to get wound rerolls against. His unit also gets +1 AP when targeting the closest eligible enemy. So that affects him when he's by himself, and he has Deep Strike, so you could potentially just run him as a solo. And most of his attacks then go to AP 3. He even has an AP 1 Ignore Cover Flamer attack that's 2 damage. So theoretically, when he like rapid ingresses and then walks up to something, he can fire on average like 7 Bale Flamer shots and then 10 melee attacks. All of them have full wound rerolls. All of them have, or the melee attacks anyway, have sustained hits. So like theoretically, they're full converting because he has Dark Pact. And then all of them reroll the wound rolls with the extra AP bonus. So they go sort of insane. The downside is that beyond this, he doesn't really do anything for his team. He is entirely just a hammer. So when you're comparing him to other characters that have like these hugely transformative auras and stuff like that, that can change your game plan, Kravik Morn is just a guy who's going to beat you to death. Not to mention the fact that in many cases, this ability won't proc because you didn't charge your prey target or your prey target ran away or something like that. It does have the clause where you can switch the prey target when it's destroyed, though. So it doesn't just pick one unit and then your opponent just fades him and then he doesn't do anything. So 120 points for a character who's going to hit like an absolute Mac truck makes a lot of sense, especially because he doesn't really have any other bonuses. The Mutilator is very straightforward. They do mortal wounds on the charge, and then they have a couple melee attacks that are really high impact. The problem is that they're really big, right? They're like 50 millimeter bases. So like charging them into places and getting multiple of them into engagement range for the mortal wounds is going to be very difficult. And then once you do that, if you're swinging their big attack, you're only swinging like 4 or 6 attacks. So very inconsistent, but there are some ways to buff them, which is going to be nice. For 70 points a model though, or 67 or whatever. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get a melee thing done. I don't know, but those are the new data sheets. We've talked about those several times before, as they've been previewed during the preview season. Let's talk about new stuff that hasn't been previewed. Warpstrike Champions. A new detachment. At the end of your opponent's turn, you can select a number of Heretic, Astartes, Terminator, Obliterator, or Mutilator units from your army, excluding ones in engagement range. Once you've made your selections, remove them from the battlefield, place them in a strategic reserve. You uppy downy. all your deep striking Terminator armor guys. That's sick. Enhancements, Infernal Fulgurite. Once per battle, you can target the bearer's unit with rapid ingress for 0. Even if you've already targeted a different unit with the stratagem in that phase, that's phenomenal. A thing I should mention is that the Mutilators and Obliterators have no character attachments.
Young 6,931 donated $5 through Super Chat. He is actually transformative for a blitz switch he can lead. Also 30-second review / rant for Season 2 of Halo. I know you have thoughts.
Ryan, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Yeah, I was watching Season 2 of Halo. I haven't finished the last episode. I fell asleep before it ended last night, but I was watching Halo Season 2. I never watched it before. Unironically, significantly better, significantly more Halo-esque than the first season. There's still a lot of like hokey bullshit, which is like one of the interesting dichotomies. We're gonna tactical tangent for a second here, chat. One of the interesting dichotomies of the Halo franchise is you take what is generally a grounded group of, like the human faction is very grounded, right? It's got eternal politicking. It's got a lot of like, sort of near future technologies. And you look at it, you're like, I understand these people. These feel like if you looked at, Earth in 100 years, these would be people who would be living on Earth. And then you thrust them into a situation where everything's like fucked and weird. And you're like, how does a normal ass person react to, all like these crazy, like intergalactic chicanery going on, ancient civilizations and prophecies and stuff like that. And then what they did was they basically made it so that all the human characters had like magic powers. And so it's like it's less about regular humans interacting with this phenomenal cosmic power in a way that's interesting, and it's more about like the humans just being like the chosen one. And it just feels like a fantasy. It feels like a fantasy television show. These people wanted to make The Witcher so bad, and then they were given the Halo franchise, and they were like, how can we splice those two together in a way that doesn't really make sense? Yeah, unfortunate failure of a show. But the second season, significantly better than the first season. The visuals are phenomenal, actually. Like, unironically, very pretty show to watch. But the plot is not good. Bad plot. Unfortunate. Very sad. One of my favorite franchises of all time. Oh, boy. All right, let's keep going. Second enhancement, Eye of the Warp. Thank you for the super chat, Ryan. I appreciate that, bud. Eye of the Warp. Model with the Deep Strike ability can reroll charge rolls. I hope that's a cheap one. I guess we can probably look it up. Oh, those big documents make me struggle. Warpstrike Champions, Eye of the Warp, is 15 points for one command reroll.
Ryong 6,931 donated $2 through Super Chat.
It is a...
I think the word you're looking for is bad fanfic.
I will agree with that. I will accede. There's definitely some self-insert happening sometimes. Which is, it is what it is. There was if you just want to watch like cool Halo, watch the first episode of season 2. You don't need any context. The first episode of season 2 is just cool Halo stuff. And I was like watching it and I was like, why didn't we just make this the show? What the fuck? It's clear that they can make cool Halo stuff happen. But it's like, they just didn't do it. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll make a video on my personal channel about it, but this is 440k talk right now. You're getting me tangented. Axur's Binding Runes. This feels like a little expensive. This feels like a points filler. Like 15 points for a charge reroll is like all right, but I wouldn't like specifically pay points out of my list for it. I think in most cases. Axur's Binding Runes, usually that comes with like an additional effect, like +1 to charge if you're targeting an objective or something like that. Model with the Deep Strike ability, you can be set up in the using the Deep Strike ability in the reinforcement step of your first, second, or third movement phase. Holy shit. Okay, seems good. We get turn 1 Deep Strikes. Let's go. But importantly, we cannot do this on Obliterators because the only character that can attach Obliterators is Kravik Morn, who can't take enhancements.
Donated $6 through Super Chat. How the hell did the Defiler get away with being 250 while Thulia is trapped in hell at 210?
Well, we gotta read the
trapped being 10 points less.
We gotta read the Adeptus Mechanicus later. We don't have. I haven't looked at Adeptus Mechanicus yet, so I have no idea what these units do. But Defiler big and pretty, so I mean, I guess that's like part of it. It does feel like a steal at 250 though, for sure. It feels like we're gonna be seeing a lot of crabs in our near future. Lots and lots, especially because like we already got the Masters of the Maelstrom, right? So it's like Chaos are going from strength to strength. They already were in arguably one of the, if not the strongest faction of the game, moving into this update, and now it's gonna be like, oh boy. Okay. Zagula, cool name. Model with the Deep Strike ability, improve the attack strength and armor piercing characteristic. Hey, thank you for the subscription, everybody. Attack strength and armor penetration characteristic of the bearer's weapons by 1. In addition, each time you are sent to the battlefield from reserves, improve the damage by 1. Holy shit! +1 strength, attacks, and damage for 25. In most cases, this affects all your weapons. So if you have like a Terminator sorcerer who can hop out and then shoot someone, they will get the improvement there. I think the big benefit is going to be when you're on a
Ryong 6,931
explicitly
donated $5 through Super Chat.
Up, down,
because she's a mecha mommy who also takes
you
to the gun show, literally.
Thank you for the super chat again. Appreciate you. Stratagems. Empiric Dislocation is an armor of contempt for
But Invader Boy
non-damned
Zim
units.
donated $1.99 through Super
Invader
Chat.
Boy Zim.
Tyranid stonks mildly up. Let's go.
Super Chat as well. We're gonna have to take a look at Tyranids in a moment here. So it's this is shooting phase or fight phase. If your enemy has selected targets, non-damned units get -1 AP against them. You cannot target them with both Empiric Dislocation and Armor of Corruption stratagems in the same phase. It's a little bit of 11th edition energy coming through, where they want to reduce the amount of stacking you can do. Although 3 command points would be a lot, but maybe you could discount it with lords or something. So I guess they're just heading that off at the pass. Armor of Corruption. Terminator, Obliterator, or Mutilator unit from your army each until the end of the turn. What? Until the end of the turn. Each time an attack is allocated to a model in your unit. Oh, because it's in fight phase only. All right. Okay. It doesn't really matter that it's end of turn. If this was shooting or fight phase, that would be crazy. It is red. This is typoed. This should be green. The red means that it's usable only on your opponent's turn, but the text is green, and the thing says that it can be used in any fight phase. This should be green. It's not that big of a deal because it's just a color thing. But looking at it initially, I would not be surprised to see this come up in Judge Call or something. That you look at the stratagem, you say, well, it's red, so it's your turn only. You can't use it on my turn. And your opponent's like, no, but read the boards. So that would be awkward. Yeah, I hope they change that. Unfortunate. 1 Heretic Astartes is Terminator, Obliterator, Mutilator unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks until the end of turn. -1 damage. We just read that like twice. I don't know if I need to read that again. Warp Flicker. You are eligible to shoot and to declare a charge in a turn which you advance. Okay. Fair. Sure. That seems very good. I'll take that. Warp Tainted. Terminator, Obliterator, Mutilator unit from your army. You can obsec it. Obsec an objective if you control it. Siege Breaker Strike. This is important to note as well. This has the same templated wording that we see a lot of these stratagems have. It's usable in your movement phase, despite the fact that LOC is only recalculated at the end of the movement phase, because the idea is that you control the objective at the start of the movement phase by controlling it at the end of your command. Then you move a Terminator onto it. What's important to consider is that if you do not control the objective, like it's contested or you don't have any models on it, and then you move a Terminator unit to it, you cannot then warp taint it. You have to already have controlled the objective through some other means, and then at some point during the movement phase have placed one of the Terminator armor guys onto it, which is important. Some people get that wrong. Siege Breaker Strike. In your shooting phase, up to 2 Heretic Astartes units that were set up using Deep Strike get ignore cover. Dude, these Obliterators are like fuck so hard in this attachment. It's crazy. Like Chaos Terminators, I think are fine. Like Chaos Terminators are okay. You do need to like be able to stack some pretty hefty defensive strats to make them solid. I don't know if they're even that good in this attachment. Like it still feels like they're a Fellhammer Siege Host special, and I don't know how much you're going to be playing them in this one. But holy shit, these Obliterators are going to be disgusting. Portal of Spite. In your charge phase, Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was set up using Deep Strike this turn and has not declared a charge this phase until the end of each phase. Each time your unit declares a charge, if the closest enemy unit was selected as one of the targets, you get +2 to charge. Well, this being 15 points starts to make a little bit more sense here, chat. Reroll charges when I have a built-in +2 to charge does feel a little stronger than I give it credit for. And I do think that's probably where we're going to be seeing those Chaos Terminators come in. Okay. I don't know if this necessarily feels... This does not feel as good as some of the other premier Chaos Space Marine detachments, but it does not feel bad. Uppy downy, like bottom 1 Deep Strikes with a bunch of Obliterators and stuff, I think is going to be good. Especially double Rampant Ingress situationally is also incredibly good. Turn 1 Deep Strikes are typically strong. And it's got Kravik Morn synergy, so... I think that this, if you like playing the big stompy boys, this is going to be solid. Is it better than Huron's Marauders? I don't think so. But is it playable? Yeah, for sure. Solid mid. Solid mid detachment. Cult of the Arkifane is the other one. All vehicles from your army gain the demon keyword. Sick. Vehicles, Lord Discordance, and Vashtor gain the Soul Forge keyword. All Soul Forge units have a 5+ invulnerable save. So everyone is a demon engine now. Which means it all benefits from Vashtor's aura, right? Am I crazy about that? I don't think I am. Vashtor is all demon vehicles. Survey says demon vehicles, which will be all the vehicles. Oh, sick. All right. We're in. That seems pretty good. We get Predator Annihilators and Predator Destructors with +2 strength. Seems like something. The Weird Djinn, or Wired Djinn, I think, maybe. Start your command phase if the bear is on the battlefield, roll d6, add 1 to the result. If you're in range of an objective marker you control on 4+, you get 1 CP. Solid. Put that on a Warpsmith at the back line, and we get a CP out of 3+ every turn. So we're probably good for 3 command points per game. Very good. The Cybinfernal Font. I love that's what a great name. That's cool. Heretic Astartes models of the bears unit have the Soul Forge keyword, so you gain a 5+ invulnerable save. Importantly. But also, I'm sure there'll be stratagems we can use on them. Mark of the Soul Forges. Each time the bearer makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll 5 scores a critical. So that works on your Dark Pacts. There's anything you can source multiple critical effects on? I'm sure that exists in there at some point. Strength 12 Blastmasters in a Rhino. I guess that's true. I guess that's how that works. That does seem to be how that works. The Rhino's having a 5+, it seems extremely strong. Crown of Worms, add 3 to the range of Warpsmith, Master of Mechanisms, and Enraged Machine Spirits. The Warpsmith starts at range 3. So Master of Mechanisms is his +1 to hit and heal. Warpsmith is lone operative within 3 inches, and Enraged Machine Spirits is you force battle shock checks on enemies within 12. So it goes to, you get lone operative within 6 inches of vehicles. You get, you can heal vehicles within 6 inches, and you can pulse battle shocks on vehicles within 15. Which does seem good, actually. It seems solid. Also, Crown of Worms is such an evocative name. We are blowing, just hitting it out of the park with these enhancement names for this one. Hellbrug Stomp's going up with the 5+ criticals. Well, it's an enhancement. So, oh, you mean with the unit? Yeah, I understand. I see what you're saying. So you put it on an infantry unit, and then they get 5+ critical, lethal, and sustain. But no, it's bear only, so it doesn't affect their unit. You could do it on a Chaos Lord, so he sustains on 5s. I'm sure that there's a better place to put it. I don't know if there's any Space Marine characters that you would want to put this on that already have critical effects on their datasheet, so that you can double trigger them. I don't know. I actually have no idea. That's an interesting one. Might just be a Lord. Could be a Demon Prince. Does the let's see. The regular Demon Prince gets a reroll, right? That's his thing. And the winged one gets mortal wounds. Yeah. I mean, regardless of who you put it on, at the very least, it's going to give you sustains on 5s, which is good. But I don't think any of them naturally crit. So the only way to get double crits is if you have a Hellbrute. I don't know if a Hellbrute combo is worth executing for one character, but maybe it's good. Maybe there's some stuff I don't know. There's some tech in there I'm not aware of, probably. Let's hop in to the stratagems. Touch of the Arkifane. Usable in any phase until the end of the phase. Your unit is selected to make a dark bank. You select both. All right. Is the Hellbrute combo active? I don't know. Is Hellbrute combo good for a 5+ critical guy? What if we just paid a command point? It all makes sense. It all makes sense now. We're struggling to find how we get lethal and sustain in a consistent way. The first stratagem just says that you do that. Fair enough. Balefire Boon. Soulforge unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight gets +1 AP. Fucking sick, dude. Soul Tally Offering. 2 command points. 1 Soulforge unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a character, monster, or vehicle, you can re-roll the wound roll. I know it's not good. It's almost certainly too expensive, and you have like bad rules overlap. But like putting that on a possessed unit to get the OG devastating wounds full of rerolls feels so fun. But you'd have to put that on a master of possessions that gets the Soulforge effect. Has the Soulforge enhancement. Biomechanoid Regeneration. 1 Heretic Astartes unit regains up to D3 lost wounds. If it is a Soulforge keyword, a model gains 3 lost wounds. Fair enough, I guess. But it doesn't regenerate models, so it's okay, I suppose. Forge Fire Surge. You can shoot in a turn in which you're advanced. If you Soul Forge, then you can shoot and declare a charge. Defiler stonks through the roof. What's that? I can advance, shoot, and charge. That's how we go through walls with this thing, chat. All you need is a 1-inch advance, and you can go from one side of the ruin to the other. And I'm not crazy that it's like it lets you walk through on advance rolls, right? It's no advance, yeah, normal advance or fall back move. So if you give this guy the ability to advance and do anything, then suddenly it can go all the way through terrain features. And when it can shoot and charge, so you can make use of its 16 ranged attacks, and then its 5 d6 plus damage, strength 16 melee attacks. That's probably pretty good. I don't know. It's probably pretty good. Is that better than the Soulforge Warpack version that gets +1 to wound? I don't know. Probably not. But there are certainly a lot of ways that you can give these things the ability to advance and do stuff in this faction. So I think that's going to be where they live in a lot of cases. Unholy Fortitude. You can get +1 toughness in Soulforge units. That's okay. That's pretty cool. What's like the most annoying thing to put that on? Are possessed T5? They are, right? If they were T6 and go to 7, I guess it doesn't matter. I guess 5 to 6 is like kind of a big breakpoint. Oh, they're T6 base. So they go to 7. Like Terminators could do that, I guess, if you have the Soulforge ability on them. But I don't know if you really want to do that. Interesting. This feels interesting. I don't know if it feels as good as Soulforge Warpack. Because getting basically +1 to wound or +2 melee attacks on every activation for the entire game feels really strong. You don't have advance and charge, though. Advance and charge is certainly kind of an awesome ability. So, 11 to 12 on the Defiler. Seems good. Soulforge is only vehicles. It is not, dudes. It is vehicles and whichever unit you apply the Cybe Infernal font to. So you can apply it to things like Possessed. I guess it's just excluding Damned, so not like a Curse Cultist, but like Possessed or Terminators. You just have to pay the points for the enhancement. The enhancement is Cult of the Arkifane, 20. Fairly reasonable. Crown of Worms is 15. Wired Gene is 25. That makes sense. Yeah. These seem like this is like the most normal set of numbers for things. Chosen getting a 5+ invulnerable save is cute. That is cute. But you lose Fabius Bile. So I don't know. Is that better than just a Fabius Bile? We could just be playing Fabius Bile, chat. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the best unit to put that on is. I'm sure there's a good one in there. Lord Discordant. I can see that. Or Lord Discordants just have it. Yeah. They just have the thing. They don't need the enhancement for it. But Terminators make sense. I think this detachment seems really good. Being able to back up with the really cheap and effective Chaos Space Marine shooting, when you're talking about like predators, for example, like CSM predators are really cheap, and then being able to get lethal or sustained on las cannons and autocannon shots is great. And then also being able to front that with advancing and charging defilers does feel good. Plus, you have a command point regenerator to fuel it without playing Abadoobadon, and all of that stuff being buffable by Vashtor, and also giving lone op to Vashtor. Vashtor lone ops from like half the fucking army, right? Because it's any. You don't get it off of the Soulforge guys, the Soulforge infantry, but you get it off of all of your vehicles, not just your demon engines. So this feels honestly kind of low key, but I think it's actually really good. It's very like 40k fundamentals, but it just makes number go up in a way that I think is going to be very good. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be better as like a rote gun line than like pact bound zealots, but it does have a little bit more mobility, which I think is neat. So I think it's probably pretty cool. The 675-point Rhino. Defiler went up quite a lot. Yeah, I wonder why that is, champ. Why could that be? I don't know. Maybe they just think Defilers were too good in the previous version. All right. That's Chaos Space Marines. I think they look phenomenal. I think the new Defiler looks amazing, even if it's in existent detachments. Let's talk about these new guys on other factions. Let's start with World Eaters. The World Eaters one retains. I did not expect this to happen, but I guess they did the thing where they gave it all a fucking million, a million shots, but it's all hitting on 4s, which is sick. 3x3 mutilators fit in a Rhino. Oh, did they not change that? Oh, they didn't take mutilators off the Rhino data sheet. Well, that's going to be a series of obnoxious Reddit threads for the next 2 weeks. Who's ready for that? I'm ready. I'm excited to get that question in my inbox once every 15 minutes for the next 7 days or so. That'll be fun. Cool, man. Super cool. All right. Let's talk about the Defiler. So the World Eaters Defiler gets rapid fire on all its guns. Its Excruciator cannons within 18 inches shoot 9 times. What the fuck? Okay. And then it also has this ability, if you're within 12 inches of it, where it can shoot you. And if you're within 12, most of its rapid fires turn on. So it can shoot 6 last cannon shots and 18 Excruciator shots if you just take the all pew pew gun loadout. You could also run heavy Reaper autocannons, and it shoots 12 devastating wound shots. Its magma cutters go to rapid fire, so they shoot 2 shots each. Plus, it got an extra melee attack. It goes to 6 melee attacks and swoops for 12 on its claws. This thing fucking rules. Obviously, there's very few ways to buff like vehicles in World Eaters, so it's not like we can do an insane number of things. We could, yeah, I don't know. There's like, is there stuff we can do in Gortrak that's good? You can blood surge it, which is very cute, but that's about it. So I don't know what really buffs this thing. It is demon keyworded. Does that have implications for vessels? I doubt it, right? Because that's demon princes. Yeah, no, I don't know. So yeah, I don't really know. Like, it's like it's a unit without support, but it also hits like a truck. It gets blessings of corn, and it has good shooting. So like, is that fine? Is that good enough? If we just have no stratagems to use on it, like at any point, probably, maybe. I don't know. Just Berserker Warband. Take 1250 points of good World Eater stuff, and then 3 crabs. Just toodle them across the table. Go get them, boys. I don't know. That seems pretty interesting. We can keep going with Emperor's Children. I think we'll round out the Defiler datasheets here. The Emperor's Children one is the one that I think has the most potential to be transformative. Because obviously, like, Games Workshop was like, you are not allowed to shoot. That's what they told Fulgrim. You are only a sword guy. You don't know how to shoot. This one got precision on its melee attack. Oh boy. All right. This might be the one time where I say precision's actually a sick keyword. Normally I give precision a bad rap because it's not a very good ability. But the one time where it's good is if you have multiple large high impact attacks that are multi-damage, that when your opponent is in a position where they cannot position around it. So, for example, they have charged your infractors with their unit that includes a Space Marine captain. Now, your Defiler can go in, and you guarantee that your first successful wound through the saving throw goes on to the guy who's going to absorb the most damage from your D6 plus 1 damage melee attack. Like these big punchy monsters, you know, as somebody who plays Chaos Demons fucking all the time, one of the little subtle benefits of having big punchy like monster characters with high impact melee attacks is that you can precision them. So in some cases, if your opponent is keying off of a particular character combination and they are involved in the scrum, being able to pay a command point to ace that character in those specific instances is a big deal. The downside that I noticed very explicitly when I was playing Soul Grinders is that they can't do that. So a Soul Grinder would go in and it would like swing its sword and kill a bunch of guys and then do its claw attack. And the claw attack would like kill a couple of 2-wound guys, but the 5-wound character would still be sitting there. And I said, I wish I could pay a CP to make this precise. This guy just fucking has it. So actually, unironically, great keyword for his melee attack. That's scary as fuck. I don't like that at all. Yikes. These guys advance, shoot, and charge as long as you fulfill the Thrill Seeker effect. Obviously, we talked about how good that is for a unit that we want to be sending through terrain features. Pretty nice. And as we've talked about before, this is an ape of the Ballistus ability that almost always procs. So it is basically just 2+ weapon skill, ballistic skill in most cases. I think that this Defiler is going to be great. I'm curious to see, and I'm sure they didn't, if they made their points different between the factions. Nope. They didn't. Oh boy. Wait, was the Emperor's Children Defiler already 250? Oh no, they didn't have one before. That was what it was. This is new for them. Yeah, I think that this is a very good data sheet, and I think it's gonna be great. No notes. You bake in advanced shoot and charge in these fucking things? Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready for a bunch of spooky defilers to go in. Imagine a defiler charging and grabbing the character, slamming him into the ground. He just hulks him. Your Space Marine captain's like, you fool! I am a god! The defiler's like, puny god. Just slams him on the ground. Thousand Suns Defiler gets a couple of little tiny bonuses over the regular ones. Importantly, it retains its Feel No Pain. It like weirdly incongruously had a Feel No Pain from the first version. I don't really know why it does that. Like, but I guess it's like mutating or something. Let's see if I can get in. All right. It's as good as it gets, I guess. So it's hardier than the other defilers. That is on average like +4 wounds, essentially. 3 to 4 additional wounds. So it's more difficult to kill. You can play this with Magnus, so it can get extra movement. So those problems we had with buildings can just be offset just by taking a guy who gives it +2 movement. Or, obviously, you can Temporal Surge it, but that's a separate movement. So it's a little bit difficult to move it around things. But if you need to go around a corner, it can find a way. Life can find a way. I'm sure that this has good implications on Warpforged Cabal. Awkwardly, it has a little bit of like what's the word? I guess yeah, it is just good on Warforged Cabal, right? Because it just has like a bunch of last cannon attacks you can use the reroll on, and then when you lock-in and sorcerer infusion, you're doing it on a thing that shoots at least 16 times, so that seems pretty good. So yeah, I think it's just strong. The other cool thing is that its magma cutter is strength 10, strength 9. Let's go. What a little cute guy. That's, I think, the only special thing about it, though, besides that. But the Feel No Pain is very important. That's a huge keyword update. They didn't want to give it a 4+? Yeah, that would be a lot. It'd be a lot. For 18 wounds? At like 14 wounds, like maybe that's fine, but 18? If it doesn't have a Feel No Pain. But 18 wounds is like, oh boy. That's a lot of beef to chew through.
Adriong 6931 donated $2 through Super Chat. Is the Flamer better?
Oh, it does. Ryan, thank you for the Super Chat. Is the Flamer better? So the Bale Flamer takes the spot of the Las Cannon. So it's just different, I think. I expect that like from a baseline, the build is double Las Cannon, double Excruciator. Because the Bale Flamer eats one of your Las Cannon shots, so you're now playing like a worse weapon platform. Because you're taking like a range 12 gun on the thing that otherwise shoots like 36 inches. So then the early game, you're just losing Las Cannon shots. As you get closer, it obviously becomes very good. But especially when you aren't getting wound rerolls like you are in the Chaos Space Marine one, I don't know if I'm that into it. I think I would rather have the high strength shooting. And I think like it's more consistent to fire at longer ranges because you're going to, on more cases, get more shots out. Oh, the Excruciator Cannon's also extra AP. Oh, actually, this thing rules. Thanks for pointing that out, chat. I didn't realize that. Basically, all of its like shell guns, besides its battle cannon, are bonus AP. Jesus. That's a spooky. And then you can also like Twist of Fate people, so you can get another bonus AP. So you can fire Excruciator Cannon shooting at AP 3. Ooh. Holy fuck. That's crazy. That's crazy. The World Eater Defiler got +2 movement. Did I miss that? Did I fuck that up? It's move 14? Jesus. Finding out the little datasheet updates. It is move 14. Holy fuck. They didn't do that with the Emperor's Children one, right? That would blow my mind. No, okay. Whew, thank God. Move 14, advance and charge, go through walls. So the World Eaters one's faster and shoots more. The Emperor's Children one is more precise. And the Thousand Suns one has better AP characteristics and is harder to kill. Seems pretty good. So far, so good. Let's look at Death Guard. Give me that Death Guard, that good Death Guard Defiler datasheet, please. The DGDS. The old Death Guard Defiler datasheets. So this one strips cover from people, which, as we've talked about previously, is like a good ability, but weird on this datasheet because he's the guy you want to strip cover for. But if you're running multiple of them, maybe it's fine. Just because they can shoot like one Excruciator Cannon over and then like plink something and then just turn around. It got lethal hits on literally every weapon, including its melt-the-guns. And I guess that it's Bale Flamer, but that seems good. Especially because a lot of times it's going to be the equivalent of +1 or maybe even +2 AP. So, like, just getting more consistent shooting out of these things is solid. Can we use, like... Can we use Tendrillus emissions on it? We can. This feels like a Mortarian's Hammer Windmill Slam. Because you can afflict people at range, so you don't have to go close to them to get their -1 save and -1 toughness. So all these like mid-strength guns go crazy. It's just +1 to wound against T12 enemies. Straight up, just all its guns +1 to wound. Fucking sick. You can get reroll hits on it maybe sometimes if you shoot them turn 1. You can get an assault, so we can advance and shoot with it. Oh, chat. I think this feels good. And you can get -2 to be charged. I think a Defiler wall sitting in front of Tendrilless emissions feels solid in Mortarian's Hammer. I'm sure there's other ways to play it as well, but that feels like, from first order optimization, that feels very solid. Yup. Makes bloat drones better. That's true. And like I said, I think it just also makes the second Defiler better. You can do the Castigator thing, right? So like Castigators give you +1 AP when you're shooting them in Adeptus Sororitas. So you shoot one Castigator at a target, and then you split its Stormbolter off at a second target, and then you shoot the second Castigator at that second target and split its Stormbolter off into a third target, and you shoot the third Castigator into the third target. And so all of them but the first one gets the +1 AP, and you take the Battle Cannon on the first one, so it naturally gets Ignore Cover. A little bit different in this case, but I guess what you could do is you could play like the Baleflame or like Electro Scourge melee loadout, and you just have one that like runs at your opponent. He's like, I'm gonna get you. and then he just like Excruciator Cannon someone on the way, because he doesn't really care about the +1 AP that much, because most of his stuff's like AP2 Ignore Cover. And you can give it advance and shoot, and he can affect the second Defiler. The second Defiler can split one gun and affect the third Defiler, and then they all Ignore Cover. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do, chat. I don't know. In any case, seems solid. Is this going to be massively transformative to Death Guard? I'm not sure. They seem to do a lot of similar things already, and it does feel like Death Guard builds are pretty like locked in. But like, what are you going to take? 2 Fetid Bloat Drones or 1 Defiler that is harder to kill than 2 Fetid Bloat Drones and shoots harder than 2 Fetid Bloat Drones and melee's harder than 2 Fetid Bloat Drones? You might just take the Defiler. So I think maybe I came around on it. Maybe we do play Defilers. You have to play the maneuver. You have to maneuver it, though. That's the tough part. Oh boy, that's crazy. That's good stuff. Death Guard fine could use 3 Defilers. I mean, yeah. I think that in any of these factions, in any of the Chaos Space Marine factions, Defilers at 250 feel like a steal. I, for one, welcome our new Crabbo Overlords. The Carcinization of the Warhammer 40k meta is finally complete. All has become crab, because the crabs will take over. Everybody get ready to kill crabs. I guess, like, awkwardly, everyone's ready to kill Catan shards.
At Mosselaya donated $5 Canadian through Super Chat. 3x Steph, Nurgle, 3x Warpsmith, 3x Hellbrute Vashtor, starting pack bound. Add in whatever after. Gonna love that 18-inch Lonop Defsus 1 and Leaf.
3 Hellbrutes. I don't know. 3 Hellbrutes feels like it might be a lot. I don't know if you need 3. You could go like the whole rock, like the full wombo, and you have the Defilers, and you have the Warpsmiths, and then you take Abaddon, and then you can give them lethal sustain. They hit on 2s, and then you can fish for the lethal sustain hits with their Excruciators. I don't know. That feels like maybe something. 3 Hellbrutes does feel like a lot, though. I don't know if you need all 3, but if you are just playing walkers to play walkers, that does feel like it completes the theme. So I appreciate the theming of it. What I wish we got to fully complete the Crabination, the Carcinization of the entire game, was an update to the Soul Grinder to bring it in line with these new mechanics. At least give it the ability to walk through walls. Holy shit, that thing is bad. Move 8 can't go through terrain that's relevant. Cool, dude. I love a good move 8 vehicle with a 6-inch base. It needs to start 1.5 inches away from a 4-inch terrain feature in order to actually move across it, which is wild. 15 Defilers and 5-man teams. Guys, all right. If no one list resubmissions for my currently running team event open on like Saturday. If no team submits 15 Defilers, I'm canceling the event. No, round 3 canceled. No one gets a refund. We're just not playing anymore. Someone must submit 15 Defilers. That's a joke, by the way. I know that one person in that team event is going to take it extremely seriously and have a crash out, but that is a joke. But I would appreciate it if you put 15 defilers in your team. I'll give you a shout out, which would be sick. That would be amazing. 15 defilers, and 3 soul grinders. So you play 18 crabs. And realistically, now that we're thinking about it, you could play 2 soul grinders and 3 defilers in all of those armies. Right? That the math works. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, you could play 3 in Emperor's Children, Thousand Sons, World Eaters, Death Guard, because if you play the Demon Detachment, you get 50% ally limit. So you could play 3 Soul Grinders, 3 Defilers in 4 of your 5 Chaos builds. And then you use Chaos Demons in your Chaos Space Marine build, so they can take 6 crabs. So you can have, so they can take 5 crabs. So you could have 6 times 4, 24 plus 5, 29 crabs. No. It's more efficient if you also take Chaos Demons and you take 3 Soul Grinders in them without having to use ally mechanics, because then you get the full 30. We could run 30 crabs. Do they have Soul Grinders? Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I don't think they have Soul Grinders. I think that's wrong. I think it's just 3 additional crabs. Chat, the bit is ruined. This sucks. Yeah, they definitely don't have a Soul Grinder. Ah, dang it. It's just the demon list that gets 3 Soul Grinders. Fuck. Game over. This game sucks. They didn't commit. They didn't commit hard enough. All right. Well, thank you for waiting through my unhinged ranting about playing more crabs. All right. Well, that's too bad. Now my day is ruined. Can the Demon Detachment that brings Chaos Space Marines bring Defilers? No, it cannot. It can't bring vehicles. Shadow Legion? Yeah, it's only infantry and characters. Too bad. If Shadow Legion could take Defilers, it would fuck so hard. That would be sick. Unironically, I think you might just play them. Although there's like a +1 AP strat in that detachment. I think there's stuff you could do with them. I think it would be pretty good. Let's talk about new Chaos Knights, chat. The Helhunt Lance is riding to battle. Detachment ability. Titanic Chaos Knights. If they have an aura ability that affects friendly War Dog units, while 2 or more friendly War Dog units are within range of that Titanic Knight's aura, he also gets it. So if you, while you're broadcasting an ability, if you put enough guys in it, it reflects back onto you. And you get it too. Let's go. That's sick. Enhancements. The Hunter's Helm gives you reroll advance and charge rolls. Octagram of Conjuration. Reroll advance and charge rolls is pretty solid, especially if we can find advance and charge in the detachment. Octagram of Conjuration. Right? Well, friendly War Dog is within 9 inches. After it has shot, you can select the enemy unit to take a battle shock test. So, all right, that's like fine, I guess. It is Chaos Knights, so we're doing battle shock stuff. Throne Tyrannicus. Select one other Chaos Knights character model within 9 inches of the bearer. If the bearer has 1 or more aura abilities that affect friendly War Dog units until the start of your next command phase, the selected Chaos Knights character is affected by those aura abilities as well. Okay. All right. What's the best aura ability that we can get? Aspect of the Beast. At the start of your command phase, select one Dread ability to be active for the bearer until the start of your next command phase. In addition to Dread abilities active for your army, these 2 seem great. These seem very strong. Especially because that's start of your command phase. So you could do things like see if your opponent battle shocks and then give yourself +1 to win against battle shocked enemies. Kind of cool. Kind of sweet. Kind of cool and sweet. What's the best aura we can get in Chaos Knights, chat? I'm going to look through all of them. Ready? Let me fix my thing here. I'm going to have to do this, I think. One moment. We'll just get my rules viewer online. There it is. I didn't set it up beforehand, so it was all messed up. We can get devastating. No. Reroll hits of 1. We can get +1 leadership and objective control. Okay. We can get melee weapons gain devastating. No, excuse me. We can get reroll hits of 1 again. What is within 9 inches? Makes a melee attack. Oh, it's ranged attacks or versus melee attacks. Gotcha. Threw me for a second. +1 AP on the Ruinator. That's the fucking flamer guy. Oh boy. +1 AP is pretty good, but you gotta take the flamer guy for that. Tyrant gives benefit of cover, and this is a War Dog data sheet. I think that's all of them that give bonuses, right? Does the not a Castus, Cerastus give bonuses to War Dogs? They do. Reroll hits against Titanic or Towering. What does the Lancer do? He gives assault, right? Yeah. I think rerolls is like where we're at. That seems like the play. If we can like be able to pass out rerolls, and that's the despoiler one anyway, right? So I feel like that's just where we're sitting. It's just like despoiler stonks up. Oh no, despoiler's +1 objective control. Dang it! For range bonuses, we have to take the Knight Desecrator, which is the laser guy. Giving rerolls to a despoiler would be cool. Feral Arrogance. A 5+ feel no pain against mortal wounds. Okay. So, all right, I guess. Merciless Fusillade. Select one enemy unit that is an eligible target when 1 Titanic unit from your army and up to 2 friendly War Dogs. They're not been selected to fight. That you selected an enemy that is ineligible for each of those Chaos Knights. Feels like unlikely. I guess it's up to 2 friendly War Dogs. So you could choose 0 War Dogs here, which I think will happen quite often. You get sustained hits 1, but you can only target that enemy unit. Okay. Nice that you can affect up to like basically 1,000 points of your army, 800 points of your army or so, with 1 stratagem for 1 command point, which is cool, but it does restrict your targeting quite a bit. Beast Tide Manifestation. Usable in your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase. Gives you Armor of Contempt. That's always good. Talked about how good that is. Flush the Quarry. I like that name. I would hate to be flushed, to be honest, chat. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but flushing, I feel like would be bad. I feel like I would dislike the experience. Until the end of the phase, each time a War Dog unit makes a normal advanced fallback move, you can move through models and terrain features. When doing so, you can move within engagement range of such models, but not end on top of them. Ooh, that's really good. Up to 1 Titanic unit and up to 3 War Dog units. And I believe I'd have to read the wording on Super Heavy Walker. I think, does that prevent you from rolling for Super Heavy if you have a pre-existing ability to move through terrain features? I actually don't know. I don't know if Super Heavy Walker says like when you can use this ability to move through, or it just says when you move through terrain features, you roll to see if you battle shock. If it prevents you from rolling for battle shock, that's actually huge. But at least 3 War Dogs, like 3 carnivores running through a wall, is actually sick. Contemptuous Volleys. You can shoot, declare a charge in a turn in which you fall back. Any Chaos Knight unit, including your big ones. Oh boy. Oh boy. Goated Beast. You Blood Surge. D6-inch Blood Surge on any Chaos Knight unit, including Titanic ones. Woo. This detachment is very solid. This has a bunch of solid abilities. Move through walls. For War Dogs, at least. Fall back, do stuff. Surge move on a Lancer. Fucking okay. AP. -1 AP. Sustained hits 1 sometimes. Like, it has offensive offensive improvements. It has defensive improvements. It has maneuverability improvements. It doesn't improve your speed like your forward momentum, but it does make you more flexible in the once you're fighting. I think this detachment might be sneaky good. Sneaky beaky good. I do wish that the aura abilities were not quite as fucked. Like a lot of the things that give good aura abilities are not the things you want to play, right? So you're like, I feel like this detachment's really good with rampagers, or is really good with lancers, but the actual aura you want is the rampager aura, which is just like a lancer, but he's easy to kill. So I don't know how to feel about it. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe if some of these abilities are switched, this would be insane. But I do feel like there is going to be some like weird anti-synergy happening in a lot of cases, which I'm sure people are not going to be that excited about. Only the war dogs get to move through with the stratagem? I don't believe so. It says that. Oh, you're so true, chat. No, you're so right. You're so right. It says that war dog units go through. So you target the Titanic unit, and then he like pulses the effect out to war dogs, and then the war dogs move through things. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't. It's not even a question. So you just still have to roll for the big knight. But in any case, I think that was the major use case of the effect anyway, is war dogs running through walls. Oh, I guess it's not even. Oh yeah. It is. It does require that the Titanic Knight be within 6 inches of the war dog. So I guess like it is a little bit difficult to use. Versus the other stuff. It gives the knight swirlies. Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Well, I think this detachment is pretty neat. It's definitely not like quite as straightforward as Infernal Lance. The question is like if it's gonna be as good as just like being faster than normal, because I think that's pretty solid. Fallback and do stuff is huge, especially on Lancers, and I guess any of the shooting knights too. But the other stuff is pretty cool. I don't know. Definitely some interesting stuff going on. Let's move on to Imperial Knights. Do we get Destrier data sheets? That's my question. Yes, the answer is yes. Let's talk about Destriers real quick, because I think that's really cool. Let's find their points value as well. So it looks the Knight Destrier is 250. Okay, so it's the same cost as a Defiler. Let us compare, chats. How do we think that the Destrier datasheet is yeah, Cody, I like I like that. The big knight teaches a lot. I had to go through the wall. So you just walk through. It's like only a little wall. And the poor dog's like, oh, you know what? You're so right. You're so right, big dog. Do we think a Destrier will be better or worse than a Defiler, chat? Defiler has move through everything, move 12, 4 last cannon shots, 12 2 damage additional shots, plus a 3 damage main gun or turret gun, plus 5 at minimum, 5 d6 plus 1 damage melee attacks. Do we think a Destrier will compete favorably? Well, I can tell you, if the thing would load. Holy crap. There it is. That it at least has super heavy walkers, so it does move through walls. It is easier to kill at 1 toughness lower. And it does not appear to have 4 las cannons on it. Boy. All right. Let's see. Thunder Charge. If he's equipped with a Thundershock Spear and Reaper Chainsword, he gets +2. So if you play melee loadout. So these guys are like at a baseline, looking at them, it's kind of a big knight, but they're move 12, but they're easier to kill, right? You're like 1 toughness lower, 4 wounds lower, but you get the +2 movement. The awkward part is that is like directly competitive with the Questoris chassis. Or not the Questoris chassis, excuse me, the Cerastus chassis. Interesting. Defiler wins in the melee fight and his guns. Yeah, Defiler, he does everything. Why would he have to choose one thing to do? He does everything. This guy's OC 8 though, very relevant. He will beat it out on OC unless he's bracketed. Each time he makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit within range of 1 or more objective markers, it gains Ignore Cover. Situationally solid. And each time he's selected to make a normal or advanced move until the end of the phase at D3. Oh, he is faster. He's significantly faster, actually. Ram Jets. That's fun. He's got a little jetpack. Boop. Okay, so he's minimum movement, movement 13, potentially movement 15. He does a mini advance every time he moves. That's cool. That's a cool ability, cool effect. He can take a Chastiser Gatling Cannon, which is all of his weapons are assault as well. All right, okay, so he's a speedy boy. 12 shots, strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage. The same profile as exactly half of the Defiler's weapons. Okay, good to know. Sick. The Frag Bombard, which is D6 +3 blast, rapid fire D6 +3. So within 12 inches, it shoots 2D6 +6. So it's averaging 14 shots. With blast. So it obviously, like, the blast keyword can sometimes be worse, and it does have to be within 12 inches to get its full output, but it is significantly stronger than the Gatling Cannon when he's in that distance. Only strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage, though. But then the interesting stuff is going to be the melee profiles. He swings with the Thundershock Spear, which is 4 attacks at D3 +3. He can, if he takes double melee, he goes to 6 attacks, which is kind of sweet. Or you can swing with the strike, with the Reaper Chainsword, which is the exact same profile. It loses an attack for, or it loses lance for an extra attack. So you could potentially attack up to 7 times. And the options are, you start with a Gatling Cannon and Bombard, and you can switch them, either of them, for melee weapons. I like that they specify that you can't take more than one of both, like the both melee weapons, but there's no reason to ever do that because you can never use both of them, so it doesn't matter. This kind of feels like we're gonna melee. Are we gonna shoot the little AP1 ranged attacks? Like sometimes it ignores cover, I guess that's fine. But it feels like we're building for melee. Like 7 D3 +3 damage melee attacks is actually kind of sick on a unironically fast profile. We could find. Unfortunately, I'm not the crazy. I'm like not the most wildly familiar with all of the Imperial Knight detachments. We could play him in Valor Strike and full tilt him, so he goes to move 14 plus D3, but he can't advance and charge. I would love an advance and charge, but that's pretty close. I feel like oh, yeah, we can play Driven by the Past in Questoris Companions. And then he can advance and charge. So we can push like 13 plus 3d6 across the table. Or 12 plus d3 plus 3d6 as the advance and charge threat range. Very far. Very far, and he's cheaper than a Lancer. Like 200 points less than a Lancer. Can you ally in 2 of these? No, you can ally 1. Unless they build a new rule for it, which it doesn't look like they have. It's a Titanic Imperial Knight, which means it's restricted to 1 per unit you're allying. It does not bracket the OC. What? Excuse me? Well, it has 1 to 6 rooms remaining. Subtract 4 from the model's objective control. I think that it might tell you. It does bracket the OC, chat. We can actually score behind ambulance. Yeah, I kind of like this guy. If you play him in the fast detachments, he's just a super fast little dude. It feels like you play a punchy Destrier. I don't know if I'm like that excited about the shooting attacks. These feel like very good profiles at barely not killing one thing you shoot at. The math on like killing 5 Space Marines, assuming that they are not triggering the ignore cover effect, seems pretty bad. It's like, I guess it's 16 shots to the frag bombard, but you only hit 11 or so, and then you wound on 3s, so you're wounding like 8, and they're saving on 3, so you use like 3 models maybe. Yeah. It feels like a very good profile to barely not kill what you're shooting at, so you might just like drop it. Just say fuck it. I guess this heavy stubber shoots 9 times, so that's something. He definitely, if you kid him, he kills light infantry really well, which unironically can be a problem for Imperial Knights sometimes, because they have to dedicate such big profiles to kill them. So maybe sometimes you do bring the just a billion little shots, little strength 6 and strength 4 shots, and you just like light up guardsman units and stuff. He is like an infantry fire hose, anti-infantry fire hose if you are worried about that. But it feels like the fast melee is kind of where we want to be. Like if you take all ranged attacks, it shoots potentially like 26 2-damage shots plus the 9 Top Gun shots. It's weird that he shoots 9. 9's so many. So I guess like he could be an infantry sweeper, but 250 points for an infantry sweeper. I don't know if it's what we want. But in any case, a little fast melee guy, probably pretty cool. Probably cool. And I guess like, you know, at the point where you're rolling 20 attacks, you're probably going to chip in 4 or 6 damage, a big thing in any case. So it's probably not bad math. Especially if you're ignoring cover. Going down the line here, Chance. It was Leagues of Votann got a very, very minor update. Barrack Stornbrow, I think, had a typo. I believe we talked about this. He had a typo where his like it didn't. I think they lost the reminder text that you choose a weapon profile when you swing with his axe. So it looked like he had a trillion melee attacks, but instead he only has between 6 and 10. So no actual updates there. Unfortunate. I got excited for Leagues of Votann. Adeptus Mechanicus. Some more exciting stuff. New detachment and 3 new units. Let's take a quick peek at their points values real quick. New stuff. Thulia Guld is 210 points. Other new units are the Hastarii, right? Ooh. What are they called? Tell me. Show me. Oh, Hastarii. Excuse me. Not Hastarii. We're making up the word. Hastarii? Hastarii Fusiliers. 145 points or 135 points for Exterminators. Let's take a peek at their data sheets. Thulia! Thulia, what do you do? What do you do, Thulia? In your command phase, select one of the abilities of her Icon of War. She's very Belisarius Call coded. She has very similar top line profiles. T8, 2+, 4+, with 10 wounds, 3 OC, 6+ leadership. She chooses one of the Icon of War abilities that affects you until your next command phase. These are either select one friendly Hastarii or Thulia Guld unit within 6 inches. Until the start of your next command phase, it can shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced. Ruststalker stonks up. Adaptive tactics. You can select one Hastarii or Thulia Guld unit within 6 inches. At the start of your next command phase, it's eligible to shoot and charge in a turn in which you fell back. Or Hastarii or Thulia Guld units. Till the start of your next command phase, the Conqueror and Protector Imperative are active for that unit. And I guess that's good. The problem is it's like Hastarii specifically, but I think it affects Scorpii, right? Which is where things get kind of good. Like the tanks, I believe, are Skitarii keyworded. They are. So we can give advance and bonus AP. Or excuse me, advance bonus AP and bonus to hit to a Scorpius Disintegrator or a Dune Crawler. Are the Iron Striders Scorpius keyworded? I assume that they are. Oh, they are. Okay. Okay. I'm putting it together, champ. I'm putting it all together. So we can get 3+ weapon skill. I guess the Iron Strider's already advanced to shoot. So it's not that big of a deal. But they get the bonus AP, right? So they go to AP4 las cannon shots and +1 to hit. That's pretty good. That's something. While you're within 3 inches of another Adeptus Mechanicus unit, you get Lone Operative. We love to see that. Cybernetic Augmentation. It can move through terrain features, but can end a move within a wall, floor, etc. It can be set up, or yeah, it's just this is just a thing to offset the Belisarius, the necessity for Belisarius Call to be included in the core rules as an exemption to the moving through ruins ability. So she's just a Belisarius Call in most cases. Also, at the start of your shooting phase, selects one enemy vehicle within 12. On a 2+, it suffers D3 +1 mortal wounds. I understand what this data sheet's trying to do. It seems unironically kind of good. I think that points value is also where I get hung up. It's 210 points for a largely support piece. She does slap pretty hard. She has a 24-inch range devastating wound Jericho class conversion resonator, which is a extremely cool weapon name. Either blast sustained hits 1 at strength 6 AP2 for D6 +2 shots, or 2 shots devastating D6 +2 damage. It's very similar to Call's, like, kind of high impact, low volume gunshot. And then she swings in melee for 6 attacks with strength 10 AP2 3 damage, or sweeps for strength 6 AP1. This would 210 is a lot. 210 for like a situational advance in charge or +1 to hit, and then like a pretty good body. This feels like what's like Saraz. Whatever Saraz is at is where these characters should be, which is like 165, right? This feels like a 170 point character in the body of a 210 point character. Like this, there's nothing bad on this data sheet. It's just the points value is a lot. Being able to advance, shoot, and charge when just like without requiring that you play an advanced shoot and charge detachment like Halo Scream, Battleclade, or Skitarii Hunter Cohort is huge for your Skitarii Ruststalker units. So they can double up on the advance and charge bonus. But the weird thing is that it requires you select the ability in your command phase, which then selects a target unit to get the bonus. Which means that if they're inside a Dune Rider, they don't get the bonus at all. There's no way. So there's a little bit of anti-synergy there. It's also Skitarii only. You can't affect like other Tech Priest units with it. So we can't like double imperative a Corpuscari unit, for example. That's off the table. Same with Cataphrons, I believe, because Cataphrons are not Skitarii keyworded. They are not. They are Cults Mechanicus units. So a little bit of anti-synergy and a little expensive. If this points value was lower, though, I would be fucking psyched. I would be hype about this unit. I think this unit would be the coolest thing ever. Plus, she and Belisarius Call, right? There's no like restriction that you can play the two together, right? Oh, is there? Does Belisarius Call have to be your warlord? Oh, he is a pretty supreme commander. So you cannot take both Thulia, Guld, and Belisarius Call. Oh, I'm souring, chat. It's all falling apart. She's the same cost as Call, and Call just gives you Oath of Moment. No. Thulia, I had such high hopes for you. I was like, can we double Lone Operative? Her and Call just both gain Lone Operative from each other. They're just butt buddies. They're just the new power couple of the 41st millennium, but you can't take both of them. Well, oh well. That's too bad. I think this would have been sick if you could take both. Oh, chats. There's a rule you saying you can take both? Oh, you can? Am I wrong? What allows you to? Well, I'm revising my opinion. Let's do a little dive here, chat. It's in commentary, probably. Let's look up Warlord. I assumed that if you had something that requires you Warlord. When selecting your Warlord, if more than one model from your army has a rule that states it must be your Warlord, then you must select which of those models will be your Warlord. If one states that if one rule states that your model must be your Warlord, another rule states that the model cannot be your Warlord, that model cannot be your Warlord. Oh, okay. So you just select one. Oh, you're right, chat. All right, we're back in. We're back in. I did not actually realize that that's how that works. It's very rare that happens. Are there multiple must be your Warlord effects? Like that you can stack? It must be, it's probably a chaos thing, right? Oh, if you take Be'lakor in a Chaos Space Marine army with Abaddon, right? No. Does it, because Abaddon has to be your Warlord, I assume? Yeah. And so does Be'lakor. So that it's chaos. This is an FAQ for chaos players. Okay. I just assumed that you couldn't do that, but that's wrong. You can definitely do that. I don't think that the combination of Thulia Guld and Belisarius Call is worth 420 points. But it is kind of a sick package. You get like they're just permanently load up when they're next to each other. You just get a trillion abilities. And you just get like a bunch of little anti-tank gunshots. Shoot out 24 inches out of your cute little 12-inch lone operative bubble. Trying to figure out the point of the datasheet ability if it functionally does nothing. Which datasheet ability? This one? So in your command phase, you choose an ability, you gain that ability, and the ability says select a friendly Skitarii unit, and it does a thing. I don't know. That doesn't I think that seems pretty reasonable to me. Supreme Commander? Oh yeah. I don't know. The Warlords in 10th edition, I imagine 11th edition will probably have more Warlord payoffs. But 10th edition, the Warlord mechanics have been like so stripped down that it doesn't really matter. Like previously, it would matter because some factions keyed off your Warlord, and sometimes you have abilities that key off your Warlord. But like, there's none of those exist in this faction, so it's sort of a nothing burger. Warlord selection has always been weird to me. It's an artifact of 9th edition list construction where you had character customization and warlord traits were like a thing that you added to your warlords. However, they don't do that anymore. So there it is. I don't know. There's a lot of those in 40K where it's just like, why does this rule exist? And it's to offset or to enhance a mechanic that existed 20 years ago that doesn't anymore. So it's like the downside of being like a massively legacy rule set. Should get some sort of trait, like a little bonus. Maybe like give them like a unique ability, and then maybe like a cool piece of war gear they can have, like some sort of relic war gear. You know, that'd be cool. And then maybe if you what if you had a stratagem where you could give it to the second guy? That'd be pretty sweet. And then what if there was a phase that let you cast spells from your Psychers? Let's talk about the Hastarii. Hastarii Exterminators. Each time a model of the unit makes an attack with an Eradication caster. That targets a unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, against sustained hits 1. And they have both that and an Arc Blaster. So they have an 18-inch range, strength 6 AP 1, anti-vehicle 4, devastating. Fucking shit. All right, that's a pretty good gun. And then they have an anti-infantry 4, Eradication caster. 2 shots. Either dissipated shot that fires up to 30 Inches, it's anti-infantry 4, AP 1 for 2, or you can get a close range one that's AP 2. And these guys are 130 points, and they come with 5 guys to make 3 attacks each. That's not very good. I mean, this gun's okay. What's the points cost of a Hellblaster? That's like a direct equivalent to this. 110. Okay. Okay. And they shoot 2 times the strength 8, AP 3. And these guys shoot strength 5, AP 2. Anti-infantry 4 with a strength 5 weapon. There's very few infantry that you're not winning on 4s, at least, with a strength 5 weapon. And you have to jump through hoops to get ballistic skill 3. 100. It's 135, right? I'm not crazy. Jesus fuck. Why are they so expensive? They're 27 points a model, 2 wounds, toughness 4, 3+5 us. They're like a slightly improved intercessor defensively. They're slower than an intercessor. They have worse ballistic skill. They just have this like cool arc gun. You can't improve their unit size. Do they have a leadership clause? If a character can be attached to Hastarii Rangers, you can attach to them. So most of the characters can go into them. You could get hit rerolls from a Marshal, I guess, and then it has sustained hits. But now we're playing like 180 point unit of 5 guys that shoot 15 total attacks. Ooh. This feels like a 95 point unit in the body of a 135 point unit. What the fuck? Hastarii Fusiliers with a neutron fusile. In addition to a phosphor blaster. Phosphor blasters, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage, ignore cover. So, AP 0 ignore cover is like a little bit of a meme, but all right. Monocular targeting helms. Do they even hold up? Do they even get 15 shots, or do they have like 4 random one dude doesn't have the gun? Okay, they do. Their alpha does just have a power weapon in addition to his sword, his guns. So you don't lose any shots for having the unit champion, which is good. But these guys are 145 points. 145 points. Each time you make an attack with a neutron fusile against a monster or vehicle, you gain ignore cover. Okay. That's pretty good. And it's a 24-inch range last cannon profile. I like this unit. Like you can source hit bonuses. You can even source, I assume, wound bonuses because they can go into Scorpius Dune Riders. The problem is the points value. The Fusiliers definitely feel more interesting than the other guys, but I think I don't know necessarily if Adeptus Mechanicus is hard put for a random anti-infantry shooting. So I feel like we're taking the neutron laser beam or nothing. 145 points for a T4 unit of guys is a lot. These guys are basically a Devastator squad, which is 120 points. 120 or 110 or so. 120, I think you'd consider them pretty hard, pretty sincerely. But 145, what the fuck? That feels, yeah, I don't know. These points values feel a little bit off, chat. Hopefully, we get a little bit of an update to these things and make their points values not crazy. It does feel like they're really pussyfooting around the metagame right now. They're like, no, we can't drop anything that like wildly shifts anything like in a major way. Orcs got a very minor update to Freebooter Crew. Freebooter Crew, the first paragraph was changed here at the start of your command phase. Select one objective marker until the start of your next command phase. Oh yeah, it had like really weird timing, right? The previous wording was at the start of the battle round, select an objective until the start of the next battle round. Yeah, this is much better. So you can proactively select what you want. That's good. Yeah, that's an update. That's a nice update. That's quality of life. Start of the battle round timing for... I don't know why orcs keep suffering from it, But like they always get start of battle round timing, which is always fucked. And then it just doesn't work exactly how you want it to. Kind of a nice improvement. Scourges with marine defenses. So yeah, I mean, there's like a difference between them and between the Hastarii and Scourges, right? I don't know if it's like directly comparable because like Scourges can't go into like transports, right? Because most of the transports say no jump pack, which includes Scourges. But so like being able to be transported by Dune Riders is like legitimately kind of sick. Like you can get wound rerolls on these things pretty easily. That said, I don't know how much of like how much that's worth. We can't drop anything that wildly shifts the metagame. Defiles to 250, yeah. And we dropped like the Masters of Maelstrom last update too, which is like wild. Oh yeah, there's a new detachment. I forgot about that, chat. You're right. Let's go back and talk about that momentarily. The Eradication Cohort. Each time a Skitarii unit from your army makes an attack, if Protector Imperative is active, get reroll hit rolls of 1. If Conquer Imperative is active, get reroll wound rolls of 1. Those are both pretty solid. Omni Cogitator gives you both, for Skitarii Marshal, gives you both Conqueror and Protector Imperative. The downside is that Skitarii Marshals don't really attach to anything really cool. They attach to, like, Ranger units. Like, okay. I guess you could attach them to Hastarii, but that's only 5 guys. So, like, are we going to spend a character and an enhancement to get one guy buffed? Like 5 ranged attacks? I don't know. Tech Priest models can give models to the Bears unit. The Skitarii keyword. We found a way. We can give it to the Corpus Cari Electro Priest. Let's go. Or to Cataphrons, which is probably where you were at. Bellicosa class capacitor veins, excuse me, and plus 6 inches the range characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models of the Bears unit, and plus 1 strength. Fuck. All right. That was pretty good. Omniscience Fury. Skitarii Marshal only add plus 2 attacks to the melee weapons equipped by the bearer and improve their arm penetration damage characteristics. All right. What is the melee profile of a Skitarii Marshal, Jan? He's like 3 attacks, like 401, right? He hits you with his like little stick, his little like walking stick. Control stave. Oh, he's 611. Okay. 3+ weapon skill though. So we could go to 812 or 822 4 attack. Oh no, sorry, wrong. It doesn't improve your strength. It improves your attacks, AP, and damage. So it's 6 attacks at 622. It's like we can get an enhancement to be the melee profile of a normal character. Less exciting. Let's hop in to the stratagems. In the fight phase, you can get Lance. Okay, that's good. I mean, Ruststalkers, love it. Let's go. Unrelenting Aggression. After an Adeptus Mechanicus unit from your army falls back till the end of the turn, you are eligible to shoot. If you are Skitarii, you can fall back, shoot, and charge. We love that. Most of the stuff is going to be Skitarii, but also fall back, shoot, and with the tanks and stuff, so you can extricate them from weird situations is going to be solid. Unshackled Wrath. Or Cataphrons being able to fall back is good, too. This does feel a little bit Cataphron coded. One Skitarii unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Select sustained hits 1 or lethal hits. Until the end of the phase, range weapons equipped by models in your unit have the selected ability. If you gain sustained hits, lethal, and hazardous, you get all 3. If you do that on Cataphron destroyers, they unfortunately would kill themselves off their flamers, which would be funny because they don't get any benefit from the stratagem. These definitely feel like we're going to put the one guy who makes your unit Skitarii into the army, and then we're going to spend a bunch of stratagems making that unit really good, and the rest of the army is just like running around. And the rest of the army, I guess, is Sicarii and Ruststalkers. Threat Cogitation Targeters. Although we don't have a natural advance in charge. So we are basically trying to... We're trying to force the detachment into playing Thulia Guld. which I don't know if you're really excited about. Threat cogitation targeters. You can reroll damage rolls against monsters and vehicles. That's for Iron Strider Balustarii, or I guess like Ferromite Disintegrators. Precision onslaughts. Sicarian unit declares a charge until the end of the phase. When your unit ends a charge move, select one enemy unit with engagement range and they impact mortal them. This is really awkward timing. Oh, it's just after a Sicarian unit declares a charge, so it's before you make the charge roll, I believe, right? So it's unlike Tank Shock, where you can do it after you make your charge roll, because that's after you make a charge. Is that right? I don't have the wording pulled up in front of me right now. Let's grab the wording. Tank Shock is currently after it ends a charge movement. Yeah. So this happens before. Ew. I don't like that. I don't like that very much. You can make his melee into a lictor. Not even, because the lictor's like strength 8. Lictor's actually fuck and precision to hit on 2s. You could make his melee into not quite as good as a 60-point infantry unit. Analytic reprisals. One Skitarii infantry unit from your army that lost one of our models as a resulting unit, result of an attacking unit's attacks. You can shoot as if it were the shooting phase, but you must target that unit. And only do so if that unit was an eligible target. Yeah, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna play as a bunch of Skitarii, and we're gonna play a bunch of Iron Striders, and then we're gonna play one Cataphrone unit with like you get Skitarii ability, and then we're gonna put a bunch of stratagems through that unit. This feels worse than Halo Screed. I don't know. I guess like it's a little bit problematic because Halo Screed is just really good. It like has such a breadth of a wide toolbox of options. This feels a little bit weirder. Like this stratagem's like nothing. It's like a nothing burger in most cases. This stratagem's like okay. This stratagem's good explicitly on. It's trying to make your Hastarii be good. If you're like, you can shoot back with your las cannons, but like the unit's just gonna be dead. Like if I attack with a Hastarii unit with anything, I'm gonna kill 3 of them. And then you're going to shoot me with 2 las cannon shots, like I guess, for a command point? Sure. Go for it, buddy. I don't know. The +1 to wound on Sicarians is like pretty good. But the rest of the stuff feels a little bit like a mess. Halo Screed just seems great. We talked about orcs. We talked about all of the chaos factions. Let's talk about Tyranids. Tyranids, chance. Thulia gives you a lot of what Halo Screed gives you. So it desperately wants you to run Thulia. Yeah. The problem is that Thulia is really expensive. And like I could just save points by playing a different detachment. Like I don't know. If Thulia, like I feel like a lot of the problem comes down to the fact that those new units are overcosted. Like, I would very much look at a Skitarii infantry-focused detachment much more favorably if the Skitarii infantry that they were releasing were, like, worth playing. But it doesn't feel like 150 points for a unit of guys with 24-inch range las cannons is, like, that exciting. That won't survive, that won't, like, repeat shoot, like, they won't get to shoot more than one time. They require a bunch of support to make, like, good at shooting stuff. Like, they have ignore cover based, like, built in, which is, like, sick, but I don't know. It's just weird. There have been some updates to Tyranids. The Warrior Bioform Onslaught Detachment added the Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip keyword to a bunch of the special rules. Also, its Lash Whip got extra attacks. It's finally fucking... It's not a joke. It's not a joke datasheet anymore. All right. Okay. So this guy attacks 12 times. He chooses between attacking 12 or 14 times. That feels much better. That does not feel like as much of a slap in the face as the previous incarnation of this ability. All right. Is he still the same points value? Honestly, I understand the 85-point cost a lot more now. I still don't love it. But I understand it. Tyranid Prime with Lash Whip. Minus 20, 65 points. Holy shit. He did not gain Vanguard, right? He's not a Vanguard guy. No. So, okay. So in Vanguard Onslaught, you take the Winged Tyranid Prime, and this does feel like, in at least Subterranean Assaults, you'll play this guy. 65 points, and he attacks 14 times. Actually, good datasheet now. Can you imagine, chat? The year of our Lord, 2026, the Tyranid Prime with a Lash Whip is a playable fucking guy. He's not. He doesn't make your opponent laugh at you for including him in an army. That's actually pretty good. That's a pretty good guy. 65 points and he attacks a billion times. I might play this dude. Sick. What a data sheet. They had to change two things. They had to add one attack, one ability, and change a number. And suddenly this data sheet's actually good. I like him. I like this little guy. The people talking about like running him in Hormigons is like not good, but I understand it. Like so coming and swinging in with 6 2-damage melee attacks and 8 1-damage melee attacks with sustained hits, and just like walloping a Space Marine unit on your way in feels okay. You're not paying 200 points for a Hormigont unit, but you get a 170 point or 140 point Hormigont unit that hits pretty hard. Or you can play him in Warriors, obviously, and he gives the sustained hits, and then he gets the reroll ones from them. Also feels good. I like this dude now. This seems pretty cool. Invasion Fleet, lethal sustain on 5s. Hell yeah, let's go. That feels pretty cool. I like this one. Rekmar was wondering if I was okay after no video. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. No, we talked about it on stream yesterday, but I was at Adepticon all the way through the weekend. So I was traveling back Monday morning. So I did not get a chance to make my video, my normally scheduled video. But I saw a ton of people at Adepticon. It was super cool. I'm gonna have probably 2 videos out about Adepticon at some point if I ever fucking edit any of my videos. But I demoed a bunch of games there. I like to do a roundup of all the games I demo. I demoed a bunch of games there, which was super cool. I saw some really cool ones. And also, I want to talk about the new reveals, obviously. So, of course, we will do both of those things. Average of 26 wounds into a night with that strat and 20 odds. 20 Hormigons, assuming you get all of them in. But this guy, he swings... He basically has the equivalent of 8 more Hormigon attacks. I guess they hit better. But if you get all of the Hormigons in, they attack 60, right? So they should get 30 criticals. So then they swing 30 more times winning on 6s. So it's like... Or sorry, 20 criticals. So they swing 30 times winning on 6s. So they should get 5 more. So 25 from the guys themselves. And if they're saving on 4s, then you're doing 12. And then this guy is like, he's probably only like 1 lethal sustain, but then he wounds like 1 to 2 additional times. So we'll call it like 2 through the saves. So it's like 18. Yeah, 20-ish, I think is probably pretty reasonable. That's actually kind of good. I like that. The sustained hits is less useful there, but I mean, that's a lot of like 5+ critical lethal stuff, which is good. I don't know. I think I like him in Subterranean because I really wanted the character attachment for the Warriors, but the winged guy felt like you were losing value because his output is not phenomenal. And he, like, you don't need the Vanguard Invader keyword. So the only times that he's relevant is when you are, when you like rapid ingress them in somewhere. Then the extra movement's relevant. So losing the extra 2 movement from the winged guy doesn't feel that bad. But this guy just hits like dramatically harder. And then he gets, it's not a huge benefit, but he gets reroll 1s baked in. So even if the unit's dead, he can reroll 1s naturally with sustained hits. And then if the unit's alive, he gets reroll 1s to save, which is okay on a 3+. It's not good, but it's like something. Also, I love Subterranean Assault. It's my favorite detachment, probably of all time. I actually think it's super cool. The problem is you have to play it in Tyranids, which sucks. It would honestly be not okay, I think, in other factions, to be fair. To be fair. All right, chat. Let's grab... I believe I'm gonna double check my timeline here, chat, because I might have to rock out very momentarily here, which is okay because we're about to wrap up. But I believe that there is a finals game. There's a finals game in 1 hour, so that's perfect. It's perfect timing, chat. So for those who are paying attention at home, if you are interested, I will be live on Twitch basically almost immediately after this. Here's my... Oh, that's just Twitch. I don't know why I did that. I should have a command for this. Exclamation point Twitch. Twitch. I will be live on Twitch in 1 hour from now. So we're not closing the stream out or anything, but I do just want to make sure do a little time check. That's going to be a finals game. I believe it is Tyranids. Is this the Tyranids game? Do we have Tyranids actually on stream? Oh, no, it's not. That's okay. We'll watch some other stuff. We can talk about the updates and stuff while we're thinking about stuff. All right, let's see. Let's move on to I think it's just Tau reworks, and then we're good. Oh, also Space Marines. I haven't talked about Space Marines. We did skip Space Marines because they were in the middle of all the Chaos stuff. So we got to talk about Space Marines, and then the Tau stuff. Let's talk about Tau stuff real quick, because it's not going to take very long. It looks to me like the only thing they changed is they nerfed the fuck out of the Twin Lance, which is good. I did got the opportunity to play against the Twin Lance over the weekend. Not my first time, but it was a time. It was my first time in a competitive format, not a practice game. And fortunately for me, I killed everything else in the army before they got to do anything. So let's go. My Be'lakor. I could show a picture of the game actually. Be'lakor went ham and ended up living through an entire shooting phase, and that basically swung the entire game. It was I do want to put I'll put this in a video at some point. But I do want to put Adepticon on blast a little bit for this train setup. Look at this fucking train, chat. We had to draw the ruins out on the thing because the ruins like weren't there. And I was like, well, my opponent and I were like looking at the table and we are like, how does this work? And I was like, well, this is really important for me because like if we don't put the ruins on the board, I can just run through all the buildings with my soul grinders. So we were like, how do we fix this? And so we just drew them. We just like fucking did like preschool artwork on the ruins so they make the walls. Absolutely fucking atrocious. And then they played Layout 3, which is like a tough thing against Tau at the best of times, but then they played it on Hammer and Anvil. So I was looking at it and I was like, the frontage of my army is like 24 inches worth of crabs. And there's literally no way I can ever hide. So I'm like, I'm just going to put my whole army on the line, everyone in 6 inches of Be'lakor, and just hope for the best. And then I went second, and this fucking Soul Grinder exploded and hit every unit in my army for D3 mortals and did 20 damage. And I was like, I think this game might be over. But then Be'lakor went insane. Be'lakor went fucking ham. He just uppy downy, teleported onto the flank, and just aced the Riptide, tanked the return fire shooting, and then also aced this Hammerhead before he died. What a Chad. Absolute Chad energy. And that flipped the whole game in my favor, so it was fine. We ended up winning. Turns out, Tau cannot deal with all the Crabos. It's too many Crabos. Fun game, though. But I played against a Twin Lance. They dropped in my back line, and then I was like, I was trying to consider if there was a way for the Twin Lance not to take my home objective. And I was like determining that it was impossible. It's literally impossible to stop them from taking my home with like the utility units that I had back there. Because they rapid ingress in, out of line of sight, then they move forward, then they move charge. So they move, shoot, and charge. So they get basically 2 rounds of attacking into whatever utility unit you have on the objective. And they move 16 inches before they do that. I was like, all right, well, there's nothing I can do here. Did I lose my Tau faction pack? I think I might have. I did. Fortunately, it seems like that has been changed quite a bit. It was a fun game, though. My opponent was a sweetheart. All my opponents were actually really chill. It was one of the most chill super majors I've ever. I mean, I haven't played in many super majors, to be clear. Mostly I stream them, but it was one of the most chill majors I played in like my experience. It was really cool. Retro thrusters have been changed to, at the end of the fight phase, if the unit was eligible to fight this phase, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches or a fallback move. So if you charge people or they charge you, then you can get the bonus speed, but you can't ramp an ingress and then move at the end of that fight phase. Thank fucking God. And you don't get it when you shoot. In addition, they have also been dramatically increased in points value by 25 points, which I think is very reasonable. Compare that unit to Thulia Guld. Compare that unit to the Hastarii. The Hastarii unit was 15 points less than the Twin Lance. And the Twin Lance is like 2 vehicles that are stapled together that each one shoots as hard as the entire Hastarii unit. Fucking wild, dude. 25 points up makes a lot of sense. The rules change makes a lot of sense. I think the unit's still very good, but they aren't quite as like point-and-click adventure game as they were previously. Let's go! There was a Reddit post defending the terrain. Yeah. I don't know. It was not the best terrain at the best of times. I understand that, like, you know, like, don't get me wrong. Providing terrain for 200 tables of 40K games is gonna be tough. And to some extent, like, I get it, you know, sometimes you just run out of terrain or whatever, but like I don't know. Maybe you choose, like, part of the issue was that, like, they had good terrain for layout 1, and layout 1's a very solid layout, right? Layout 1's like, all right, like, most of it's just templates. You go behind the templates, and then you can't be seen. So the walls restrict movement, but they don't usually have, like, huge line of sight blocking properties in a lot of cases. Like, 90% of the blocking on layout 1 is from the template. In addition, layout 1 tends to be fairly balanced. It has open lines around the flanks, but there's that big L in the center that you can hide melee behind. So, like, you can play in both ways around it. And the terrain they had was angled because sometimes the layouts change where the wall has to be positioned. I'll make a whole video about this. But it was angled for layout 1, and then they changed to layout 3 halfway through day 1. There wasn't like a change on the fly. It was in the player packet. But they didn't have appropriate terrain for the second layout. So it's like, what do we do with this? I don't get it. None of these fucking buildings work. It was not ideal. If they had just stuck with layout 1 the entire round 1, it would have been a little boring, sure. But, like, we wouldn't have any of these problems. It was like, they just changed it for change's sake. Or if they had changed it to another layout that they had the terrain features for, that would have been good. I had a discussion with one of the judges, though. He said he was like arguing with them to not do that, and they were like adamant. Also, the fact that they didn't use the packet, the tournament companion combinations, layout and mission combinations, is a little wild. But, you know, there it is. Let's talk about Space Marines, chat. There are some changes to Marnius, Calgar, and Cato Sicarius. The Space Marine Faction Pack takes 10 minutes. I should have preloaded it. Because it's 210 pages. It's so long. All right, let's look at the change notes, and we'll go from there. Change notes.
At Drew Lytle 2281 donated $2 through Super Chat. Nids and Knights also got new detachments.
Knights got an attachment. Tyranids did not get a new detachment. I did. Did I miss the Knights one? Oh, I did. I straight up just did. Tyranids are the same, though. They just have Subterranean and Warrior Bioform. They got updates to Warrior Bioform, but they did not get new detachments. I guess it could feel like they got the new stuff, but they did not. Okay, I definitely missed the Knights one though. That's stupid of me. This is a lot of content. This is a big update. This is like a big update to come out on a random Wednesday, especially because we had an update like 2 weeks ago, right? I like that there were people who are like, they've left 10th edition to die. They never update anymore, and then they're just like, here's a billion new, like a trillion sets of new content. Let's talk about the Knights thing before we talk about Space Marines, because we just skipped right over that. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Drew. I appreciate that, bud. Folger's stream game sent a judge to find better terrain. That's fucking amazing. I mean, if you're on stream, dude, like, it's, of course. Freeblade Company. Oh, shit. This is back. I thought we were free of this mechanic, chat. I thought that we did not live in fear of the randomly spiked fucking 6+ feel no pain. God damn it. That sucks. At least it doesn't go to a 5. That was where things got truly degenerate. It is really annoying though, because you're like, all right, I handed you 30 damage. I assume you die. And they're like, no, I lived on 1. And you're like, God fucking, all right, I guess I lose. It's so frustrating, but I mean, it is what it is. 1 detachment, and you don't get an Invalid Strike, so that's okay. Or Questor's Companions. In addition, at the start of your command phase, each Knight's model from your army regains 1 wound. Very good. That is good for a bunch of guys with a brick of hit points that you usually have to 2-tap. Mysterious Guardian, it's back! The bear has a deep strike ability. Once per battle, at the end of the opponent's turn, you can go into reserve, and then you can hump back down. Pretty good. Sanctuary. You get a 5+ permanent invulnerable save, regardless of the phase. Very good. Bringer of Justice. Attacks characteristic of melee weapons is improved by 2. Each time the bear makes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Ooh, 7 lance attacks from a lancer, I see. And I hit on 2s even when I'm bracketed? Is this the lancer detachment of your? Hunter's Eye. Ranged weapons equipped by the bearer have ignore cover. The double gun crusader is good. Wait, these are the enhancements rule, actually. These are really strong. What is this backing texture? Oh, I don't like this. Did the other detachment do this? It did. Why does it look like that? It's so grainy. It's hard to read, actually. Okay, well. Noble Sacrifice, an Imperial Knights unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can target you with the stratagem. You get a 4+ Deadly Demise. If it's an Armiger, it's a 3+. I don't like these. I mean, auto Deadly Demise on a super heavy is like really good, but I don't like that it's I don't know, that it's random still. I wish it was. Do not roll Deadly Demise. Instead, everything within 6 takes 3. Or 1 if it was an Armiger. Or 2 if it was Armiger, whatever. Like, it makes your Deadly Demise less random for a command point instead of being, like, hyper random. Because you could either not roll the 4 by spending a command point, or not roll much damage on the things that you want to hit. Or you do roll the 4 and you roll 6s and everything, and the game's over. I don't like these stratagems just from a conceptual standpoint. Strength from Exile. I don't like spending resources and getting literally nothing for it. That's generally bad. Strength from Exile. Until the in the shooting phase of the fight phase, choose an Imperial Knights unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model unit makes an attack, if there are no other units within 9 inches of your unit, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a reroll and a wound roll of 1. That's really good. So if we sent our Lancer directly into the face of the opponent, it gets rerolls. It hits and wins on 2s anyway, and then you get reroll 1s. Fucking okay. Love that. Full Tilt. 1 Imperial Knight unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, if your unit advances, do not make an advance roll. Instead, add 6 to the move characteristic, or 9 if it is an Armiger or Destrier. Holy shit. Do we have advance and do stuff, though? I don't think we do. So it's actually, I guess the Destriers can shoot, right? And armigers could get assault, maybe, from bondsmen. But it means that a Destrier moves minimum 22 inches. That's actually sick. Point blank barrage. You can shoot blast weapons into melee. You don't suffer the penalty to engagement. You can shoot blast weapons into your own melee, I should say. You don't suffer the engagement penalty for stuff engaged with you. However, on an unmodified hit roll of 1, you hit yourself for mortal wounds. All right. Well, they really want you to play double gun Destriers and fire them in melee. Survivor of Strife. After an enemy unit has selected its targets, until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than the toughest characteristic of the unit. Subtract 1 from the wound roll. Phenomenal. Extremely good strat. Flanking maneuvers, armored your unit can uppy downy if it's within 9 inches of a battlefield edge. This seems good. I don't know if I like it as much as some of the other detachments, but it's very straightforwardly strong. It just like provides you a very, very like the enhancements are really good. It provides you a very consistent defensive improvement. Plus, it has defensive strats. It increases your threat range, but you don't advance in charge, so it only increases your threat range for shooting. But like otherwise, the stratagems are good. These two are like I think a little bit of a miss. Point blank barrage and noble sacrifice are like okay, I guess, but I'm not that excited about them. The other ones are good though. This is probably fine. 6+ Feel No Pain army wide. Very relevant in a lot of cases. Auto explode for D6 might be much. Yeah, I agree. Auto explode for super heavy stuff is like way too strong for sure. That has been the case since 9th edition. But the auto explode and it happens on a 4 like it just feels bad because sometimes you can just get fucked, I guess. Feels like an improved version of the index attachment. Yeah, the original index attachment, not the updated like Valor Strike though, because Valor Strike is like I think distinctly different because it makes you much faster. You can assault and stuff. This is like more defensively oriented. It's similar, but it's more defensively oriented. I do like the rerolls when you're away from people though. That's kind of a cool strat, especially for a Freeblade theme. The theme is on point. Let's talk about some Space Marines, chat. We're going to hop over to their new detachment, Ceramite Sentinels, which is pretty cool. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army makes an attack, if that model's unit is within a terrain feature, reroll a hit and wound roll of 1. Wait, that's so easy. This is just reroll 1s to hit and wound army wide. Unironically, within a terrain feature is so simple. This means, for context, that one of the models in your unit is partially overlapping the footprint. So you can have a unit of 20 guys and 19 of them are out in the open, and the back guy has 1 millimeter of his base over a ruin. The entire unit gets a reroll once they hit and wound. In addition, Astartes units from your army gain the entrenched keyword. Well, all of the following are true. They are within a terrain feature. They were not set up on the battlefield that turn. They have not moved more than 3 inches. Cool. I don't know what that does, but we'll find out, I suppose. This detachment ability is really good. The one downside is that if you wanted to cut specific lines, so sometimes you're like setting up a situation where you want to shoot down one angle, but not open yourself up to the second line of shooting. So you don't want to touch the terrain feature to like that's protecting you from the second line. And in those cases, you would sometimes not benefit from this. But I would say in 90% of other cases, you either can or accidentally do benefit from this ability, which I think is really good. And then like otherwise, you just play normal 40k. I don't know. Like I get my detachment ability only most of the time, especially for large units. I should say explicitly for large units. For like little 5-mans, oftentimes you're like doing something else, but for big units, you almost certainly are, almost 100% are in here. The target would get cover? No, not typically. It depends on the situation, but typically what will happen. So let's say there's a ruin. Can we pop TTS open? How long is that going to take me? And we'll just do a very, very quick little demo here of why this is good. As long as it doesn't take a while to open. I do have a lot of things going right now. One sec, chat. I'll give you the situations in which this is cool. So, for example, if we open up a terrain layout, let's go layout 8. Here you go. And we grab some models. I'm sure I have models in my thing. Here we go. Here's a Firestorm Assault Force list. All the models are broken, but that's fine. Go away. These are all old minis. This is a very old list, so the minis are probably broken. Oh no, it's all fucked. That's okay. We just need some scouts. Let's grab these scouts. So let's say, get rid of all these fucking guys. Let's say that my scouts are here. All I need to do to give all of these models in the open rerolls is put this model here. Now the entire unit gets reroll once they hit and wound. And if I'm shooting something here, right? If my target is here, so that my entire unit has clean line of sight to it, it doesn't gain cover. So you can be in front of the terrain feature and still gain the benefit, which is going to happen most of the time. In some cases, sometimes you'll be shooting and you'll only put 1 or 2 models out, in which case you will also get the benefit, and then they'll also get cover. But if you don't want it, that will happen sometimes just because your model doesn't move far enough. But sometimes you end up in a position where you're trying to advance or something, and the last model unit didn't make it out of the train. You're going to give the benefit there. Even if they did, all you need to do is have the last model in the unit tow the feature. And this gets even easier when you start talking about vehicles. Like you have a Gladiator Lancer that's shooting down this line. If you tow that terrain feature, you get reroll once they hit and wound. Just like with the back of your base. And then if we grabbed, I have a vehicle, I have a Gladiator. I do. That's a knight, but all right. So like we want our Gladiator to get rerolls. So we run around this corner and we just tow it right here. So we can see the footprint on the shadow on the table. We tow it there. We draw our line of sight from the front so your opponent doesn't get cover. So our line of sight's coming from here, like that. But because this back corner is inside the ruin, I get reroll once they hit and wound. It's really easy to trigger. The one downside is if you were, for example, trying to cut like this line, and I didn't want to enter this terrain feature, I wouldn't get the benefit unless I entered it, but then I'm open to shots from here or from here. And so that's what I was saying earlier, where sometimes you try to cut very specific lines. And in that case, you're just playing like a normal game. You're just like setting up like a normal unit. But in 90% of cases, once you're engaged with your opponent, your entire army is going to reroll. In some instances, you're like fighting over an objective and you're just in the middle and you're trying to like out OC and you won't get the bonus, but most of your guns will. That's a cool ability. Honestly, very, very cool effect. I think it requires some decision making in some cases, if like whether or not you step into the terrain to unlock the effect, but it's not an ability that's difficult to use, which I think is cool. Like it's not like the Anvil Siege Force one where it's like jump through hoops and on a Tuesday when the Mercury's in retrograde, you'll get +1 to wound. This one's like, I don't know, make a very easy decision when you move your guys. Super smart. I love this. Honor Also melee. Yeah, all attacks. So if you charge into a ruin, you get reroll once they hit and wound. Fucking awesome. What a good detachment ability. Holy shit. Hopefully the stratagems are good. Honor indefatigable. I love that word. I love that word because it was the name of Horatio Hornblower's ship in the Hornblower series. If anybody, it's a callback to like, I don't know, fucking Napoleonic War stuff. Gravis model can regen when he's dead. Sweet. We love that. Makes him really good at performing actions and stuff. It makes a Gravis captain extremely strong. Castellum Omnivox. Each time a various unit makes a fallback move, select one of the following. It can shoot and charge or perform an action. Okay. It's unfortunately on a character. This would be really good on a stratagem. On a character, it's a little bit weirder. Like fallback shooting charge is okay. Maybe you do it on like the combi lieutenant, honestly. Might be okay there. Because it works on, it doesn't require that he leads. Spy Skull Data Link. Range weapons equipped by models in the Bears unit have ignore cover. Good ability. We love that. Defensive Mastery. You get to redeploy up to 3. Also good. All right. Those are solid. Not quite as flashy as the detachment ability, but they're okay. Stratagems. Unyielding Might. When attempts to start his unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units until the start of your next command phase, add 1 to the objective control characteristic. That's very good. So this is often useful in your opponent's turn when you charge them with GPI, with Jump Pack Intercessors, and there's like 4 left on the objective, and your opponent has 5 models. You go Unyielding Might, start of your command phase. I go to OC2 and take the objective away, so you don't score it. Incredibly strong ability. Also, it works on anything, just requires engagement range, so you can pump the OC of your tanks as well, if you need to. It doesn't care about infantry. That's a good stratagem every time it shows up. That's literally never bad. Or if your opponent charged you and tries to out-OC you, and then you pump your own OC to take the objective back, that's also good. In some cases, if you're playing Guilliman, you can double this, because you can choose, in your command phase, you can choose Guilliman's ability to improve your OC characteristic, and then also do a free strat. So he improves OC by 1, then free strats Unyielding Might, and improves OC by 2. And so suddenly 5 intercessors are OC 20. And they out-OC like, you know, just a bunch of idiots. Priority Strike, shooting or fight phase for 2 CP. You can reroll wounds against characters, monsters, or vehicles. Infantry or mounted only. That's very good on, like, Hellblasters, maybe? I don't know what other mass infantry... Oh, it's like Stern Guard? Well, they're going to shoot the Oath target most of the time anyway. I don't know what other infantry unit in Space Marines, like big, punchy infantry unit, really needs wound rerolls for 2 CP. It's probably just Hellblasters. Armor of Contempt. And keep in mind, too, that you're probably getting hit rerolls either from Oath or from the other ability. And you can use Incursors to make your reroll 1s to hit really consistent as well, because you can give +1 to hit. Armor of Contempt. It's normal Armor of Contempt. We love that one. Stand to the end. Your fight phase after an enemy has selected its targets, you can, if you are entrenched, you can fight on death on a 4+. Oh no, sorry, it's a final death on a 4+. You get +1 if you are entrenched. Okay. Augmented targeting. Select either sustain hits 1 or lethal hits until the end of the phase. Range weapons equipped by models in your unit have the selected ability. If your unit is entrenched, you gain both. Well, that's pretty good. You can, like, rapid ingress into entrenchment, right? Not set up on the battlefield this turn and didn't move more than 3. Interesting. Huh. Sustain plus lethal for 1 CP if you entrench yourself is, like, really good. I don't know. I bet there's some interesting use cases for this. Evasive positioning is a reactive move, but if you are entrenched, you can reroll the d6. It's weird. They added this entrenchment mechanic, but they only made it affect, like, basically 1 stratagem. So, like, in the very specific cases where you want to get affected by the enhanced bonus from augmented targeting, you're going to pay attention to entrenchment. But entrenchment otherwise doesn't work. Doesn't really do that much. That's fascinating. I sort of expected there to be like something that was just like, all entrenched units gain cover or something, but like, you're just there. I don't know. You just get it sometimes. This is an interesting detachment. I love the detachment ability. I think it's really cool and creative. This is dramatically worse than most other of the... This is not... I would say this is decidedly mid-detachment. It's really cool. This is a great stratagem. This is a great stratagem. This is an okay stratagem. But it's no Gladius Task Force. It's no Blade of Ultramar. It's not really even like... some of the other ones. I don't know. A Bastion Task Force, I think. Like, no speed improvements, I think, is really killer. Not being able to advance and do stuff is not ideal. Prepping for 11th, the new terrain rules and missions. Yeah, it feels like this is something that will probably carry over. I like the effect, though. I think the reroll ones while you're within a terrain feature is really cool. But the rest of it's kind of okay. It's kind of mid. I would just like keep playing some of the other detachments probably. It is unfortunate, I think, to some extent that Space Marines get so many detachments because it does make them all sort of blend together. It's like, oh wow, cool, but like there's 100 million detachments and they're all like, you know, more interesting. What if that was like a Votan detachment or something? Or like a Ork detachment, you know? I think now we're talking, right? Like, Space Marines is like, well, we could throw it on the pile. Unfortunate, because I think it's interesting design. Gun turrets. Yeah, let's go. Fire. We'll shoot the little, what are they called? The Fire Strike Servo turret. The greatest unit in 40k. We'll shoot a couple Fire Strike Servo turrets, so have a good time. Sisters. Custodians. Oh yeah, Custodians, of course. The guys who are all about protecting Imperium structures. They should have the one that protects these structures. Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, that'd be sick on Custodians. That'd be really good. It like imagine it's like interesting too because you're like I need to touch the terrain feature with my Custodian Guard unit to get reroll ones to hit, but then I need to touch the objective to get rerolls to wound. So like now all your positioning is really interesting. You have to think about a couple different things when you move your guard units around. Charging into terrain makes you very powerful, or defending terrain makes you very powerful. It should have been a Custodians detachment. You're so right, chat. Chat, you're so smart and handsome. Because that's actually like conceptually perfect for Custodians. Why is it a Space Marine detachment? What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't know. All right, Chance. Something else to remember is we're supposed to start being able to combine detachments. I have a sneaking suspicion that the existing detachment infrastructure will be reworked or revamped in a big way. I would not expect that the detachments that we currently have survive or survive without massive reworks. So I wouldn't go forward considering like, how will I use this in 11th edition? Because I think the mechanics will probably carry over, but I imagine that the specifics themselves are going to be reworked in a big way. There's a lot of interesting stuff that they have previewed for 11th edition that I think are cool. The detachment combinations is a big one. But one thing that they have said is that detachments that have army-wide, sort of wide-reaching effects will largely cost additional detachment points, which is a new list-building resource. So I would expect that something like that effect would cost 2 or maybe even 3 detachment points. But we'll see. Some of the more popular detachments are going to stay in B3. Yeah, so what they've said is that you have 3 detachment points to spend when you construct your list. And detachments will be costed 1, 2, or 3. And between that and the way you generate missions, which is based on a chart that checks the keywords of you and your opponent's detachments, which I think is kind of a neat idea. So you're never in it, like you're very rarely in a situation where you play Purge the Foe, you know, if you don't want to, because you can play, if the meta is to play armored detachments and you play infantry, but the combination of infantry and armored detachments results in Purge the Foe, you can change your detachment to something else. So you don't play that mission. I think that's really cool. Player control over missions is something I'm a huge advocate of, so I think that's awesome. And then also, yeah, also being able to like build either a wider variety of more focused detachments that are cheap, or less a smaller variety of really, really effective, like wide-ranging detachments like Gladius Task Force is also really cool. I'm into it. All right, chat. I think that's gonna be it for me today. It has been a long ass stream and I'm tired, but we're gonna be live on Twitch. What's my thought on the new objective marker? I think it's fucking hilarious. They went all in on saying there's no more circle objectives. It's not just a circle on the table, and then immediately reveal that the objective is instead a rectangle. Fucking comical, dude. I laughed so hard. They're like, guys, your complaints have been heard. The objective is no longer a circle, it's instead a square. Fucking hilarious. I think the objective's fine. I mean, an objective is an objective is an objective. As long as the objectives are balanced around each other. Somebody, I saw a complaint that was like, the objective's like irregular a little bit. It's not like a perfect square because there's like ruined bits hanging off the side. How is that going to work for balance? And I'm like, it'll just be in the layout. What are you talking about? Like the diagram will just show you where the objective goes. I don't know. What do you mean? That was like, I don't know. I didn't really understand that complaint, but I think that the objective being a square versus a circle is not really that big of a deal. It's basically the same thing. So whatever. Oh yeah, NASA Artemis mission. Yeah, I have a bunch of friends. I mean, I fucking love space travel, obviously, but I have a bunch of friends who are so fucking hype. They're like doing watch parties and stuff. Yeah, that's super exciting. When's T for that? T0 is in the morning. Cool. Good to know. All right, chat. Random size objectives. What about triangles? What about triangles? Why didn't we consider the triangles, chat? I think next edition, they'll go 2 editions and be like, and everyone will be like, I'm tired of rectangle objectives. And then they'll be like, semicircle objectives. It's a curve and then a flat edge. Very different. I don't know. I think it's silly. All right. 2-0 is supposed to be 3 hours. Okay. The thing I'm reading is weird then. Oh, yeah. No, I see what I'm reading. The countdown starts at 7:33 a.m. and goes for another 5 hours and 10 minutes. Or no, 6 hours and 36 minutes or something. So it should be soon. All right, chat. Dodecahedrons, indeed. Let us go to Twitch. I will be live streaming a game over there. So we can continue this discussion. I'll put the Twitch in the thing one more time. Was the objective announcement engagement bait? Maybe. It could be. Love actual terrain dimensions like WTC. I don't think that they're going to do that. I hope that they give like measurements for like the little walls, but I don't think what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to prescribe the exact nature of the ruins on top of the templates, because then you alienate all the people who have their own bespoke terrain. I mean, even at Adepticon, the variety of shit that was on the template was like pretty wide. I saw like 30 tables that just had Noctilith crowns everywhere, which is a little bit weird. All right, so I will see you over there on the Purple channel. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today. Stay tuned. I should have a video up about 3D printing tomorrow. That's sponsored by our friends over at Bamboo, who gave me a very cool printer. But the video is going to cover the history of 3D printing and more broad strokes, as well as its effect on the miniature gaming sphere, which I might add a section to, because Adepticon really opened my eyes to how widespread additive manufacturing is in the industry. It's fucking crazy.
like 50% or more of the games at Adepticon were either fully 3D printed or had 3D printed elements that were like being packaged and sold, which blew my fucking mind. Because last year it was like a couple things did it. This year, I think it's just the future. I think that we are just a 3D printed industry now. Crazy. So that's going to be a fun discussion. A little bit off of my normal content is, but then you can expect Best Armies next week as normal. And I should, cross my fingers, have a video up before the end of the week about the 11th edition stuff. And I also should have a couple videos on retrospectives of previous editions in the next week or two. So stay tuned for that. Keep it classy, folks. Have happy wargaming, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers, everybody.